Chapter 545. Bodhi Golden Cicada, Core Formation Accepting Disciples. Emulating Lu Miaoge, he clasped his hands and bowed to the red-dressed woman. No need for such courtesy, I just sensed a whiff of destiny and came to have a look. She waved her hand and spoke. She examined the golden cicada in Lu Qingshan's hand with her divine sense. So it is just a Bodhi golden cicada that failed to shed its skin. Indeed, had it been a living Bodhi golden cicada, how could it possibly have been picked up by such a small child? Nonetheless, the shed skin of a Bodhi golden cicada has the effect of aiding others in their cultivation and comprehension and can also be used as the main ingredient in refining the Bodhi comprehension elixirs, which just happens to be useful to me. Yan Yuan glanced at the golden cicada in Lu Qingshan's hand. She pondered how she could acquire this Bodhi golden cicada for herself. In the cultivation world, the higher the cultivation level, the more one values karma and temperament. If she were to take the Bodhi golden cicada without any exchange, it would be tantamount to creating a karmic tie. Even though the most powerful person present, Lu Miaoge, only had a peak chi refinement cultivation and was completely disregarded by her, she, a dignified nascent soul immortal, would not stoop to taking a chance from a child. It seems that this senior has come for the golden cicada in my hand. Lu Qingshan, although only 10 years old, was lively and clever. Especially since he always liked to read storybooks and imagine himself in them. Seeing the arrival of this senior figure, looking at the golden cicada in his hand and mentioning a fateful treasure, he knew that the other party was attracted to the golden cicada. Thinking of the stories in the storybooks where, upon encountering a senior figure after finding a treasure, offering it up proactively could also lead to benefits, he wondered if perhaps he could even become the apprentice of a senior figure. Although the other party seemed somewhat languid and casual, not like the legendary seniors, the fact that she descended directly from the sky and his aunt had greeted her with such respect clearly indicated she was indeed a senior figure. Thereupon Lu Qingshan spoke, "Senior, I've just obtained this treasure and am willing to offer it to you." "Hee, what a clever little fellow," Yan Yuan smiled, looking at Lu Qingshan acting correctly. She thought about how to compensate Lu Qingshan and end any karmic tie. But the next moment, when she saw Lu Qingshan, she frowned slightly and a look of surprise and doubt appeared in her eyes. She then stepped forward and touched the top of Lu Qingshan's head. "Indeed, it is a Gingjin body constitution. No wonder you were able to activate the aura of the Bodhi golden cicada. It turns out it was because of the Gingjin body constitution. My master passed down the Gingjin sword art to me. This young man has the Gingjin body constitution and his temperament and destiny are not bad, making him a suitable successor." Yan Yuan looked at the boy before her, pondering to herself, subconsciously reaching for the wine gourd on her waist. But hesitating for a moment, she immediately straightened her mature and fiery figure, the casualness fading from her face as she stood with her hands behind her back and spoke seriously. "This cicada is called Bodhi golden cicada, and I happen to need it as an ingredient for refining a batch of elixir medicines. However, I would not take your chance for nothing. Given your exceptional talent, I am willing to take you as my disciple. Would you accept?" Yan Yuan looked at Lu Qingshan before her and spoke. As she spoke, her bright red garments rustled, revealing her entire nascent soul aura. Suddenly she appeared majestic and transcendent, with quite the demeanor of a superior figure. "Take me as an apprentice?" Lu Qingshan blinked, not expecting her to actually want to take him as an apprentice. Although he often imagined such scenarios when reading storybooks, when actually faced with the situation, he was still surprised and conflicted. Moreover, he hadn't even discerned her abilities. How could he rashly accept her as his master? Exceptional talent, taken as a disciple? Hearing this, Lu Miaoge, who was holding Lu Wangshu, looked surprised and doubtful. "I never expected this core formation predecessor to actually want to accept Lu Qingshan as a disciple. But Lu Qingshan only has a 6th grade spiritual root. This has nothing to do with exceptional talent, does it? If this predecessor is only interested in Lu Qingshan's opportunity and thus takes him as a disciple, I'm afraid. I am Tian Yuan, true immortal of Jianghu sect from Yu country. You, Junior, have a Gingjin body constitution, which perfectly matches the legacy of my sect." Yan Yuan realized that Lu Qingshan and Lu Miaoge were confused and remembered that he had not introduced himself yet, so he took out the Jianghu sect token and said with an authoritative voice, "Jianghu sect from Yu country? Gingjin body constitution?" Lu Miaoge was surprised again when she heard the other party's words and introduction. "I never thought that he wasn't a cultivator from Jianghu country, but a nascent soul immortal from Jianghu sect in Yu country." She had heard of Jianghu sect, one of the 5 major immortal sects in Yu country. Its status was similar to Qingyun sect and Wuxia sect of Jianghu country. However, what surprised her the most was that Lu Qingshan was of the Gingjin body constitution. When Lu Qingshan was examined for his spiritual root at the age of 6, he only showed a 6th grade spiritual root. He hadn't yet started cultivation, and his spiritual body had not been revealed. Nobody in the family knew that Lu Qingshan possessed a spiritual body. Only when she heard this Tianyuan true immortal did she realize that her sister's son actually had a Gingjin body constitution. Although a Gingjin body constitution is just one of the common 5-element spiritual bodies. But a spiritual body is a spiritual body nonetheless. As long as Lu Qingshan does not die prematurely, it's highly likely he'll achieve foundation establishment. If he could become a disciple of a nascent soul immortal, there might be hope for core formation. Qingshan, don't you hurry to thank the senior. Lu Miaoge quickly said to Lu Qingshan. Knowing that the nascent soul immortal was interested not only because of the chance object, but also because of Lu Qingshan's Gingjin body constitution, so he was willing to accept a disciple, she was relieved. After all, being accepted as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal is an enormous opportunity and a great fortune. Although the journey to Jianghu sect of Yu country is long, it's obviously worth it compared to the chance of being a disciple under a nascent soul immortal. Jianghu sect, Tianyuan true immortal? Lu Qingshan wasn't familiar with Jianghu sect, only knowing about Qingyun sect. But from what he heard and seeing the look on his aunt's face, he figured Jianghu sect must be similar to Qingyun sect. Moreover, the other party claimed to be a true immortal, which meant a true nascent soul immortal. This was a truly exalted senior. For such a senior to take him as a disciple, he was naturally very willing. Seeing Lu Miaoge urging and the envious looks from others, Lu Qingshan clenched his teeth. He spoke up, "Senior, this golden cicada was found by me and my sister together. My sister also deserves half. Could you also take my sister as your disciple?" Lu Qingshan held his sister's hand, looked up at Yan Yuan before him, and pursed his lips as he spoke. Although their personalities were vastly different, one lively, the other quiet, their relationship was extremely good. Lu Qingshan knew that his sister had a 7th grade spiritual root. Her talent could be considered average, even poor. If she could be taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal, her future cultivation path would be much easier. Chapter 546. A stroke of luck and a foundation establishment breakthrough outside. _1 Your sister? Yan Yuan frowned slightly upon hearing this. She was usually lazy and uninterested in managing affairs, not even taking a single disciple. If it hadn't been for the fated opportunity this time, seeing that Lu Qingshan possessed the Gingjin body constitution, perfectly suitable to inherit her lineage's cultivation technique, she really didn't want to take on disciples. At this point, accepting one disciple and having to include another was something she was reluctant to do in her heart. Qingshan. Lu Miaoge looked at Lu Qingshan, who wanted to bring his daughter Lu Qingzhu, and felt deeply moved. If her daughter could become an apprentice to a nascent soul immortal, perhaps she might have a chance at reaching foundation establishment in the future. But she knew that the matter of a nascent soul immortal taking disciples was not one to be taken lightly. She immediately expressed her apologies to the woman in the red dress. "Senior, Qingshan doesn't understand, please forgive his ignorance, immortal." Yan Yuan looked at the youth in front of her, lips pursed, leading his sister by the hand. She could see a bit of stubbornness between his brows. She knew that if she only took the youth before her as a disciple, he would likely not be willing. Forget it, taking one is the same as taking two. There's only me on Tianyuan Peak, it's very quiet. Having the siblings together would be just right for companionship, looking out for each other, she thought to herself. Then, turning to Lu Qingzhu, she asked, "Would you like to follow your brother and take me as your master?" Lu Qingzhu was taken aback by the fact that the nascent soul immortal before her actually wanted to take her as a disciple. She looked at her mother and then at her brother, Lu Qingshan. Seeing both of them nod towards her, indicating her to agree, she then obediently said, "Senior, I am willing." Disciple Lu Qingshan greets master. Lu Qingshan immediately showed a happy smile and, taking his sister by the hand, loudly performed the greeting. Although he wanted to ask if it would be possible to take his brother, Lu Qingsong, as well, he knew that was unlikely given the circumstances. Lu Qingzhu, watching her brother, also performed the greeting obediently with a clear and childlike voice. Disciple Lu Qingzhu greets master. Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu. Alright, from now on, you are my disciples, Yan Yuan's disciples. Yan Yuan nodded her head upon hearing their names, lightly raised her hand, and let the two stand up. She then turned to Lu Miaoge and said, I happen to be visiting Jiang country this time, and I will be returning soon. Jinyang sect is far from Jiang country, but once the siblings make their breakthroughs in Foundation establishment, I will allow them to return and visit their family. This is my token. If you ever have any difficulty, you can come to the Jinyang sect with this token to find me. Yan Yuan took out a token and spoke to Lu Miaoge. Now that she had taken someone's children as disciples, she naturally couldn't just take them away without giving any reassurance. She had to offer some promises. In fact, seeing Lu Miaoge with so many children, she had already guessed that the woman might be facing some issues. However, her innate laziness often kept her from interfering too much in others' affairs. Hence, she only offered the promise for Foundation establishment and the token. If Lu Miaoge ran into difficulties in the future and sought her out at Jinyang sect, she would help if it was convenient. If not, she would rather not worry about it. Thank you, senior. Lu Miaoge, hearing these words, accepted the token with a respectful bow. She then instructed Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu to heed their master's instructions and to cultivate diligently. Mother. Lu Qingzhu felt the impending separation, and her big watery eyes suddenly turned red, brimming with tears, her face filled with reluctance. Aunt, rest assured, I will definitely take good care of my sister. Lu Qingshan, although feeling sad inside, was comparatively more composed. He considered this journey an opportunity for cultivation. Holding his sister's hand, he earnestly said to Lu Miaoge, Yes, my Qingshan understands things best. Lu Miaoge stroked Lu Qingshan's head, hugged the two of them, her eyes filled with reluctance. Knowing that once her children went to Jinyang sect, it might be decades before she saw them again. But for the sake of her children's future prospects, she could only keep her reluctance hidden in her heart. All right, Qingshan, little Zhuer, you must listen to your master and cultivate well. When possible, your father and I will come to visit you. Lu Miaoge repeated her instructions. But even she didn't have much confidence in her latter words. The journey from Qingzhou Mountain to Jinyang sect in Yu country was very distant. If she couldn't become a Foundation establishment cultivator, the journey would be fraught with danger. She might only be able to wait for her children to reach Foundation establishment and return home many decades later. Aunt, please tell my mother not to worry about me, I will come back after succeeding in my cultivation. You tell grandfather that I will surely become a foundation-building great cultivator, a peerless sword immortal. Oh, and when my father returns home, tell him that I've been taking good care of the Jintu potato. If you and father come to visit Zhuer and me, remember to bring Jintu along. Lu Qingshan lightened the mood as he could see his aunt was also very reluctant. He smirked as he spoke. All right, I will convey these words to your mother, grandfather, and father. You focus on cultivating with your master, and when you become a peerless sword immortal, your aunt, father, mother, and grandfather will all be happy and proud of you. Lu Miaoge forced a gentle smile on her face and softly tousled her son's hair. Then she turned to Yan Yuan and bowed. In the future, I will trouble Immortal to care for Qingshan and Qingzhu. That is only natural. Yan Yuan observed the farewell scene with an indifferent expression and nodded slightly. She then raised her hand, allowing Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu to land on her huge gourd. Since that's settled, I will take my leave. If you wish to visit Jinyang sect in the future, you may use my token to contact the Jinyang Commerce Guild. The Jinyang Commerce Guild has business dealings with Jiang country, and when the time comes, you can take the spiritual vessel of Jinyang sect to travel to Yu country. Chapter 547. A stroke of luck and a Foundation establishment breakthrough outside. Yan Yuan's voice was authoritative as she spoke to Lu Miaoge. She had noticed that Lu Miaoge was just an energy-refining cultivator. With such a cultivation level, attempting to travel from Jiang country to Yu country was extremely dangerous. Out of deep motherly love and seeing that her two disciples were still young, she was willing to offer them away. Many thanks, Immortal. Upon hearing these words, a joyful expression immediately appeared on Lu Miaoge's beautiful face. If they could take the Trade Association's spiritual vessel to Jinyang sect, all she would have to do was save up some spirit stones, and then she'd be able to visit her children. This filled her heart with great joy. Looking at the siblings on the gourd, she once again exhorted them to listen to their master and cultivate diligently. Qing Song, when your brother returns, he'll look after you. You sister, you must cultivate diligently, or else you'll only be able to gaze at my back from now on. Standing atop the giant gourd, Lu Qingshan waved and called out to Lu Qingsong and the others. The next moment, The gigantic gourd transformed into a divine rainbow and disappeared into the sky. Lu Miaoge, cradling Lu Wangshu, stared blankly at the divine rainbow vanishing into the sky. Aunt. Several little ones on the spirit boat, seeing Lu Miaoge's sad unwillingness to part, came forward to comfort her. Apart from Lu Qingsong, no one else felt much sadness or sorrow. Instead they felt envy. After all, this was a nascent soul immortal. They had only read about nascent soul immortals in books and textbooks. Now, Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu were taken as disciples by a nascent soul immortal to an immortal sect. Naturally, this made them incredibly envious. Fine. Now that Qingshan and Qingzhu have gone to an immortal sect to cultivate, you must also diligently cultivate daily, understand? Lu Miaoge came back to her senses, revealing a gentle smile as she patted the little ones' heads, though her eyes were still a bit red. She then took out a food container from her storage bag and let the children start their meal. Even though consuming a fasting pill meant they wouldn't feel hungry. These kids were still young and growing and they often craved snacks. Qingshan actually possesses a Gingjin spirit body. Now he's been noticed by a nascent soul immortal and taken as a disciple. His future is boundless, and perhaps he has the potential to reach core formation. Moreover, Qingshan is very sensible. After being taken as a disciple by the nascent soul immortal, he still looked after his sister, requesting the nascent soul immortal to take little Zhu as a disciple. Now little Zhu has also been taken as a disciple by the nascent soul immortal. Perhaps in the future, both children could successfully reach foundation establishment. As Lu Miaoge watched the kids begin to eat and gazed into the sky where the divine rainbow had disappeared, she was lost in thought. She wanted to share this news with her husband. But the thought of Lu Changxing being out and not yet returned weighed heavily in her heart, stirring worries. She took several deep breaths, slowly exhaled and calmed her emotions. She then carefully examined the token given to her by Yen Yuan and carefully put it away. This token from a nascent soul immortal could not only take her to Jianghu sect. If Qingzhou Mountain ever faced danger, perhaps the token could serve a deterrent effect based on its value. After the children had rested and eaten, Lu Miaoge piloted the spirit boat, continuing towards Green River Marketplace with the children. Without Lu Qingshan, the spirit boat was a bit quieter than usual. 4 days later, Lu Miaoge, piloting the spirit boat, arrived at Green River Marketplace. Due to the events involving the demon path, Qingyun sect's marketplaces were on high alert and increased patrols. Around the marketplace, cultivators patrolled a radius of tens of miles. After landing outside the marketplace, Lu Miaoge took out the communication talisman from Xianxia. Shortly after, Xianxia appeared. She wore a moon-white dress, her demeanor cold, and her aura noble and pure like the bright moon high above, keeping others at 1,000 miles distance. Fairy Shiyu. Fairy Xiao. Uncle Master Shiyu. Seeing Xianxia, the disciples of Qingyun sect immediately bowed courteously. Xianxia nodded slightly, her beautiful eyes indifferent and majestic, like the cold moonlit night, exuding a daunting charisma. However, when she saw Lu Miaoge and the infant she was holding, her eyes revealed a gentleness. Her previously icy aura softened. Apart from Lu Changxing, only their daughter Lu Wangshu could stop the operation of her supreme emotion-severing art. Miaoge, did you encounter any trouble during your trip here? Xianxia approached and, seeing Lu Miaoge holding her daughter and accompanied by so many children, inquired. Shiyu. Lu Miaoge immediately explained the situation of her family and the purpose of her trip. All right, no problem, Xianxia replied upon learning it was just a precaution and not that any actual trouble had occurred, nodding her head. She immediately had someone arrange for identity jades and accommodations for Lu Miaoge and the others. As the record chief of Green River Marketplace, such matters were easily done with just a word from her. After seeing Lu Wangshu wake up, Xiaoxia's face softened as she held her daughter, her eyes glowing with maternal warmth. The Qingyun sect disciples witnessing this were astounded, as if they had seen a ghost. They never imagined that the usually cold and noble fairy Shiyu had such an unknown side full of tenderness. At the same time, they thought that the relationship between this woman and Xiaoxia must be quite close. To be able to ask fairy Shiyu to be the godmother to her child. They therefore became more eager and attentive towards Lu Miaoge's affairs. After settling the children and the residents, Lu Miaoge chatted with Xiaoxia. Don't worry Miaoge, Changxing is probably just delayed by something and is not in any danger, Xiaoxia said, noticing Lu Miaoge's worried expression and comforting her. I guess he'll be back in a while, she presumed, knowing Lu Changsheng's methods and believing in his strength. Chapter 548. A stroke of luck and a Foundation establishment breakthrough outside. She had heard from the sect that her senior sister, while investigating the Xiahou family incident, was critically injured by Xiahou Wuwa. It just so happened that a spiritual vessel passing by saved her, thanks to the intervention of Qiun True Immortal. But senior sister Chu Qingjia's heart was attacked by corpse poison, and it was loose cultivator Han Li who stepped forward to heal her. Therefore she firmly believed that Lu Changxing wouldn't encounter any dangers, he was just being held up by some matter. Hearing Xianxia speak in this way, Lu Miaoge nodded gently. The worry for Lu Changxing in her heart lessened a bit. After all, as a disciple of the Immortal sects, a Foundation establishment great cultivator, and sharing a Dao companion bond with her own husband, Xiaoxia's words were very convincing to her. After chatting for a while, she also brought up her children's matters, Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu. She inquired with Xiaoxia about the Jinyang sect's Tianyuan True Immortal and the Jinyang Chamber of Commerce's spiritual vessel. She knew of the Jinyang sect of Yu country. But she was unclear about Tianyuan True Immortal, the Jinyang Chamber of Commerce's spiritual vessel, and such details. This information was beyond her reach. Xiaoxia didn't know much about this either. She said she would find out more later on. Once she had the relevant information, she would then inform Lu Miaoge. She also reassured Lu Miaoge that the Jinyang sect was a righteous sect. The Tianyuan True Immortal, being a nascent soul immortal, naturally had the demeanor of one, so she could rest easy. That day, outside Qingzhou Mountain, a spirit boat descended. Finally back. Lu Changxing, looking at the familiar Qingzhou Mountain before him, wore a smile on his face. Let's go, Zhixiao. Then turning to Ling Zhixiao at his side, he said warmly, taking her hand and stepping off the spirit boat. Having brought Ling Zhixiao home to an unfamiliar environment, he naturally gave her a sense of security. Changxing, you're back? Elder 9. At the mountain gate, the Lu family stationed elders saw Lu Changxing and immediately showed a look of delighted surprise. As a second-ranked talisman master, Lu Changxing still held considerable prestige within the Lu family. His return from the journey naturally uplifted people's spirits. Yes, this journey has caused everyone some concern, Lu Changxing said with a light laugh. He then introduced Ling Zhixiao to the Lu family elder before him. This is my Dao companion, Ling Zhixiao. Dao companion? Hearing this, the elder took a glance at Ling Zhixiao. Her facial features couldn't be considered stunning, just above average. Her complexion was pale and lacking color, making her look extremely frail and delicate. However, her bright and luminous eyes, as well as her calm and elegant demeanor, were enough to make anyone see her extraordinariness at a glance. Pleased to meet you, Daoist Ling, the elder said politely. He didn't pay too much mind to Lu Changxing finding a Dao companion. He was also an old member of the Lu family, having watched Lu Changxing grow up. He remembered that every time Lu Changxing returned home in the past, he would bring a bunch of concubines with him. Now, having been away for so long, bringing back only a Dao companion was already quite restrained. But thinking of the family's recent troubles and Lu Changxing's absence during that time, the elder felt somewhat uncomfortable. However, he didn't say anything. He opened the mountain gate grand formation, letting Lu Changxing and Ling Zhixiao in. As Lu Changxing and Ling Zhixiao stepped into Qingzhou Mountain, the mountain protection array glowed slightly. It made a faint mana aura emanate from Lu Changxing's body. What's this about? No good, Foundation establishment. There's Foundation establishment mana. The elder and several station disciples, seeing this scene, were instantly panicked. But the next moment, when they saw the Foundation establishment mana coming from Lu Changxing, they were filled with shock, surprise, astonishment, and disbelief. I had some luck on my journey outside and I managed to break through to Foundation establishment, Lu Changxing said, smiling at the surprised, incredulous looks on everyone's faces. He had never intended to hide his cultivation level on his return. He was planning to reveal the breakthrough he made in the Foundation establishment directly. It was unexpected that the family's great formation would detect the mana inside him so readily. Ling Zhixiao, standing beside him, inwardly scoffed. What luck, when he had clearly broken through to the middle stage of Foundation establishment. But she had read the intelligence on Lu Changxing. Knowing that he had reached the middle stage of Foundation establishment was indeed astonishing. If word got out, some cultivators might wonder if Lu Changxing had gained some significant fortune. Thus, they might seek to take that fortune and bring trouble to him. However, remembering Lu Changsheng's power when he killed 5 robber cultivators, she thought that unless a nascent soul immortal attacked, ordinary Foundation establishment cultivators were no match for Lu Changsheng. Broken through to Foundation establishment? Changsheng, did you say you've broken through to Foundation establishment? The Lu family elder exclaimed with a face full of shock and disbelief, asking for confirmation. Even though he saw the family's great formation sense Lu Changsheng's Foundation establishment mana, it was still hard to believe. He couldn't believe that Lu Changsheng had actually broken through to Foundation establishment. After all, this was Foundation establishment great cultivator. Yes, haven't you seen it? Lu Changsheng said, his voice carrying as the mana aura of the early stage of Foundation establishment emerged around him. Good, good, good. The Lu family elder trembled with excitement, repeatedly expressing his joy. Considering the family's current circumstances, having Lu Changsheng, a second-grade talisman master, return and break through to become a Foundation establishment great cultivator, naturally made him ecstatic. But the next moment he looked at Lu Changsheng, unsure of what to do or say. Before, he had been able to exercise some of his seniority and call him Changsheng, but now that Lu Changsheng had broken through to Foundation establishment, it left him not knowing how to compose himself. I will go inform the ancestors and the family head, he said, turning to Lu Changsheng. He hurriedly sent a message to Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, Lu Miaochang and others, telling them that Lu Changsheng had returned, and that Lu Changsheng had broken through to Foundation establishment. Chapter 549, Second-Rank Top-Quality Talisman Master. Reunion. _1 Lu Changsheng had originally planned to first return home, see his wives and children, and have a family reunion. On this trip to the Jiuxiao Immortal City, he had not only prepared a surprise for Lu Miaoga. He had prepared gifts for all his wives and children as well. However, the elder of the Lu family indicated that Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding were on their way over and asked Lu Changsheng to wait for a moment. Facing this situation, Lu Changsheng didn't have much to say. After all, a breakthrough in Foundation establishment was indeed a major event for the Lu family. If he rushed back home now, it was likely that as soon as he entered the door, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding would come looking for him, and he wouldn't be able to have a proper family reunion. Whoosh! Instantly, a streak of escape light flew from the depths of Jianghu Valley. Upon the movement of the family's great formation and the urgent message, Lu Yuanzhong, the Lu family ancestor, arrived first on the scene. Changsheng, you've returned? When Lu Yuanzhong arrived at the mountain gate and saw Lu Changsheng, joy immediately spread across his face. But in the next moment, when he noticed the faint spiritual pressure surrounding Lu Changsheng, his face turned from joy to surprise, astonishment and shock. Changsheng, you've broken through to Foundation establishment? Lu Yuanzhong exclaimed in shock. Even though he had previously speculated that Lu Changsheng might have been concealing his strength, he could never have imagined that, on this trip out, Lu Changsheng would actually break through to Foundation establishment and become a Foundation establishment great cultivator. This was simply astonishing. Ancestor, I encountered a fortunate opportunity during my trip and luckily achieved a breakthrough in Foundation establishment, Lu Changsheng said with a bowing smile as he looked at Lu Yuanzhong's astonished face. Even though he had revealed his Foundation establishment cultivation, he still considered himself a junior. He did not call Lu Yuanzhong by the informal term fellow Taoist. After all, according to the family hierarchy, Lu Yuanzhong was the great-uncle of Lu Miaoga and Lu Miaohuan. Good, Changsheng, congratulations on your breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Lu Yuanzhong immediately became emotional and nodded repeatedly in response. After the battle at Blackwater Pool, he felt a greater pressure than anyone else in the Lu family. Not only had the core elite of the family suffered heavy losses in that battle, but he, the family ancestor, had also been severely injured and didn't have much time left to live. Afterward, he poured all the family's resources into Lu Miaofeng, hoping that he would break through to Foundation establishment and support the family. However, Lu Miaofeng failed. The Foundation establishment failed. At that moment he aged considerably in an instant. His already weary body and spirit took on an added measure of sadness. He was constantly worried and restless day and night. It was precisely because of this, that upon hearing the news that the Feng family fortress was destroyed by Xiahou money, he immediately discussed with Lu Yuanding the possibility of sending some of the direct family descendants away with Lu Miaoga. He was afraid. Afraid that the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain would fall on his watch. Now seeing Lu Changsheng return after achieving Foundation establishment, the tightly wound and weary spirit relaxed slightly. Even though Lu Changxing was not a blood descendant of the Lu family, he had been with the Lu family for more than 20 years, had taken a wife and had children, and had shared hardships with them, having long been rooted in Jianghu Mountain. Now that he had returned after achieving foundation establishment, his sincere and humble address of ancestor to Lu Yuanzhong showed not a trace of arrogance. That's why he trusted Lu Changxing. "Ancestor, what happened to your health?" Lu Changxing asked as he looked at Lu Yuanzhong's complexion. Lu Yuanzhong used to look around 40 years old, but now he seemed at least 20 years older. Moreover, his complexion was dark and dull, his aura chaotic, and there was an air of decline about him. He roughly guessed that Lu Yuanzhong had been injured in the battle at Blackwater Pool, for he could faintly sense a trace of the corpse poison he once used to help Chu Qingyi detoxify from Lu Yuanzhong. There was some trouble caused by the forces from the demon path before, so I was injured a bit," Lu Yuanzhong said, relaxing his eyebrows as he spoke. He had long come to terms with his own life and death. What he couldn't let go of was the family and his responsibility. At this moment, Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaochang rushed over. Upon seeing Lu Changxing and learning that he had made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, they reacted just like the previous Lu family elder, Lu Yuanzhong, full of disbelief, astonishment, and incredulity. Facing this reaction, Lu Changxing could only once again confirm his achievement of foundation establishment, leaving both men shocked and overjoyed. Afterward, under the respectful, envious, awe-filled, and emotional gazes of the station Lu family descendants, Lu Changxing led Ling Zixiao and went to the Qingzhou Great Hall with Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, and Lu Miaochang. Such a significant matter as foundation establishment naturally warranted a good conversation with Lu Changxing. "Jiming, hurry and share this good news that Lu Changxing has returned after completing his foundation establishment with Miaoyun, Miaohuan, and the others." Once the stationed elder saw Lu Changxing and the others leaving, he immediately came back to his senses and instructed his people to notify Lu Changxing's family about the auspicious news. "Yes." The stationed disciple, upon hearing these instructions, immediately acknowledged and went to convey the good news. At the Qingzhou Great Hall, Lu Changxing recounted to Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, and Lu Miaochang the details of his trip and how he accomplished foundation establishment. He stated that during this trip, by a fortunate coincidence, he had discovered an ancient cultivator's cave dwelling, which allowed him to break through to foundation establishment. It was also because of this that he met Ling Zixiao and became Dao companions with her. However, the secret realm was perilous, and Ling Zixiao had been seriously injured there, her foundation damaged, and now only 1/10 of her cultivation level remained. "I have met Daoist Ling." Only then did Lu Yuanzhong notice that Ling Zixiao was also a foundation establishment great cultivator. His entire focus had been on Lu Changxing until then. Because Ling Zixiao was extremely weak and showed no trace of mana or spiritual pressure, he was startled when he heard Lu Changxing's words and realized that Ling Zixiao was a foundation establishment cultivator, which made him much more respectful and courteous. After all, a foundation establishment cultivator was a foundation establishment cultivator. Even if only 1/10 of her cultivation level remained, she was still a foundation establishment cultivator. He couldn't help feeling emotional that not only did Lu Changxing have great fortune, but he also had good romantic luck. Back when the Lu family and the Qin family were at war, a foundation establishment female cultivator had taken a liking to Lu Changxing, openly expressing her feelings for him. Chapter 550. Second-ranked top-quality talisman master. Reunion. Now that Head ventured out, he not only encountered fortuitous adventures that led to his breakthrough in foundation establishment but also found a foundation establishment female cultivator to become Dao companions with. Such matters left him utterly at a loss for words. He couldn't help but reflect on his own journey, which consisted of nothing but cultivation, and yet more cultivation. Compared to Lu Changxing, he felt utterly. Moreover, Lu Changxing had achieved his breakthrough in foundation establishment at an even younger age. Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaochang, listening to Lu Changxing's story, were also filled with emotion. Especially Lu Yuanding. One could say he had watched Lu Changxing grow up step by step. So now it still felt like a dream, something unreal. He couldn't believe that the son-in-law he had brought back to the Lu family from the foot of Qingyun sect, his own son-in-law, had actually broken through to foundation establishment and become a foundation establishment cultivator. You must understand, that's a foundation establishment great cultivator. Although he had always told Lu Changxing to cultivate diligently and, relying on the talisman path, hoped for a future breakthrough to foundation establishment, hope and reality were completely different matters. After Lu Changxing finished recounting his adventures, Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding also shared with Lu Changxing some events that had occurred over the past year. It was only upon hearing these stories that Lu Changxing realized the Lu family had gone through so much in the year. The battle at Blackwater Pool resulted in the death of 6 core high-ranking members of the Lu family. Among them was the second elder, someone Lu Changxing was acquainted with. Lu Yuanzhong was gravely injured in the battle at Blackwater Pool, with corpse poison invading his organs and not much life left in him. Lu Miaofeng attempted foundation establishment. But the interference from other families, suspected to be the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, led to her failure to break through. Xiahou money wreaked havoc in the region, and his wife Lu Miaoga took Lu Qingshan, Lu Qingzhu, and other Lu family disciples to seek refuge in Green River Marketplace. Hearing this news, Lu Changxing felt a surge of guilt. He thought about how, over the past year or so, Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaoyan, and others must have been not only worried about him but also in tremendous anguish. Ancestor, father-in-law, rest assured I have returned. With the birth of divine sense after my breakthrough in foundation establishment, I've significantly improved in the talisman path. I am now capable of crafting second-rank superior-grade talismans, Lu Changxing said to Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding. He intended to follow the dual excellence route of alchemy and talisman. In the realm of talisman path, he naturally couldn't afford to spend another 5 or 6 years making meager progress. Thus, taking this chance, he revealed himself as a second-grade talisman master of superior grade. This way he could gradually disclose his alchemy skills in the future. What second-rank superior-grade talismans? Upon hearing this news, Lu Yuanzhong, Lu Yuanding, and Lu Miaochang all gasped in shock, too astonished to speak. Although they knew that a cultivator would experience notable enhancements in comprehending cultivation techniques and various cultivation arts upon the birth of divine sense, the extent of Lu Changxing's enhancement was simply too frightening, wasn't it? They clearly remembered that it had been just over 3 years since Lu Changxing had advanced to a second-rank talisman master. In just over 3 years he had progressed from a second rank to a second-rank superior grade? You must understand, advancing in second-rank skills is like overcoming a huge hurdle. There are countless skill masters who spend their entire lives unable to cross such hurdles. Yet, Lu Changxing, after his breakthrough, had leaped to become a second-rank superior-grade talisman master. A foundation establishment great cultivator and a second-rank superior-grade talisman master. Such strength and status left the three speechless, almost parched with their mouths agape. Sitting elegantly nearby, Ling Zixiao sipped her tea lightly upon witnessing this scene. She thought that if only they knew that Lu Changxing was also a second-rank superior-grade alchemist, they would be even more shocked. However, seeing Lu Changxing chatting with Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding, she was reassured that the information she had purchased from Heaven Knowledge Tower about Lu Changxing was correct. The details Lu Changxing revealed matched almost exactly with the records of Heaven Knowledge Tower. The only issue was that Lu Changxing was hiding too much. So much so that apart from him, probably no one else knew the extent of his hidden abilities and the unknown methods he possessed. Ling Zixiao felt that even what she had seen was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to Lu Changxing. Or rather, what she saw was only what Lu Changxing wanted her to see, intentionally showing it to her. He was several times more mysterious than she knew. Ancestor, the cultivation technique I practice has some effectiveness against poisons. May I examine your injuries? Lu Changxing then said to Lu Yuanzhong. The other party had been inflicted with corpse poison and didn't have much time left. If it was curable, he was naturally willing to help. After all, on this trip back, he planned to purchase a suitable spiritual land to establish his own family. Once he established a family, he would undoubtedly be very busy, and wouldn't be able to devote much attention or time to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. But given the current situation of the Lu family, it was difficult for him to speak of leaving and establishing his own family. So if he could treat the injuries of Lu Yuanzhong, the Lu family ancestor, and stabilize the situation, it would be more than ideal. I have a second-rank special monster core, and as long as I gather the rest of the ingredients for the foundation establishment elixir, I can prepare to concoct it. Then I could spare one for the Lu family, and as long as there is a new foundation establishment in the Lu family, I wouldn't need to worry too much, Lu Changxing thought to himself. Although he had contributed a lot to the Lu family by crafting talismans over the years, a small favor deserves a great return. Over the past 2 decades, the Lu family had been nothing but good to him, as it was his wife's family. Now that he had the intent and the capability to leave, he should repay them 100-fold. Moreover, forming his own family didn't mean he would sever ties with the Lu family. With Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyan, and a host of wives, concubines and children, he was bound to remain connected with the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Good ill trouble you then? Chapter 551. Second-ranked top-quality talisman master. Reunion. Lu Yuanzhong originally wanted to say that his body was already poisoned by corpse toxin, and medicine was of no avail. But thinking of Lu Changsheng's situation, he decided to act otherwise and extended his wrist for examination. Lu Changsheng reached out and grasped Lu Yuanzhong's wrist, beginning to check his condition. He immediately saw that the other's organs were all corrupted by the corpse toxin. Corpse toxin has invaded the organs. Indeed, it's troublesome. Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed slightly upon seeing this. This corpse toxin was not as severe as the one from Chu Qingyi, but it was also extremely difficult to handle. Especially now, as the corpse toxin had already rotted the organs. Even though his 7 luminary sword qi was capable of expelling toxins, it couldn't remove the corpse toxin. Because expelling the toxin would harm Lu Yuanzhong's organs. Ancestor, I have a bottle of pure heart spirit purifying elixir here, which might help with your condition. Once your condition improves a bit, I'll try to see if I can remove some of the corpse toxin from you. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changsheng took out a bottle of elixir medicines from his storage bag and said to Lu Yuanzhong. He couldn't completely rid the other of the toxin. He could only extend the other's lifespan as much as possible. Pure heart spirit purifying elixir? Upon hearing the name of the elixir, Lu Yuanzhong knew it was a second-rank elixir. It had effects such as purifying the mind, nourishing the spirit, relaxing the muscles, unblocking meridians, treating organ toxins and harmonizing blood and qi. He didn't expect Lu Changsheng to be so generous right from the start. A relieved smile appeared on his face as he said, "All right, I will accept the elixir. All right, I won't hold you up any longer, knowing that you're eager to return home for a reunion." Lu Yuanzhong looked at Lu Changsheng, smiled and spoke. Knowing that he had been away for so long, Lu Yuanzhong understood Lu Changsheng's eagerness to reunite with his wives and children. "Thank you, ancestor." Lu Changsheng smiled, stood up and left. "Wait, Changsheng, now that you've made your breakthrough in Foundation establishment, I wonder when you plan to hold the Foundation establishment ceremony so that I can make arrangements?" said Lu Miaochang, looking at Lu Changsheng and speaking out. Previously, Lu Miaochang had treated Lu Changsheng with politeness. But now, with Lu Changsheng's breakthrough in Foundation establishment, his words and expression inevitably carried a measure of respect and awe. "The ceremony, let's just forget about it. We can celebrate within the family quietly. Now with Xiahou money causing chaos everywhere, if we were to hold such a large ceremony, we might attract unwanted attention. And besides, it could allow intruders to infiltrate our family during that time," Lu Changsheng said after some thought. While holding the Foundation establishment ceremony meant he could also take more wives and concubines, he would be very busy in the upcoming time. Having been away for so long, he needed to spend time with his wives and concubines and check on his children. He had to bring Lu Miaoge home, work on Tai Seed Wei art, help Lu Miaoge change to practice Water of Virtue technique, and deal with the breakthrough of Foundation establishment. Then there was the integration of the 9 treasure Jade Rui, the creation of third-rank talisman, nurturing of treasure talisman, crafting of the 99 mysterious true strategy, making of the Foundation establishment elixir, and inspection of the family spirit land. Thinking of these matters already made his head spin. He felt that without a year or two he simply couldn't manage to finish up all this work. Therefore he had no immediate plans for a grand ceremony and chose not to focus on taking concubines for the time being. He planned to continue this aspect after establishing his own family. Changsheng makes a good point. With Xiahou money wreaking havoc everywhere, it would be dangerous if he took the opportunity to infiltrate Qingzhou Mountain, agreed Lu Yuanding. Since that's the case, let's just have a family celebration, Lu Miaochang said immediately upon hearing this. As the patriarch of the Lu family, he also had these concerns and took them into account. But the Foundation establishment ceremony was a significant event. Whether or not to hold it still depended on Lu Changsheng's decision. If Lu Changsheng didn't agree and he declared there would be no ceremony, celebrating quietly within the family would seem very disrespectful to Lu Changsheng, a Foundation establishment great cultivator. All right. However, Sister Miaoge is still outside. I plan to go to the Green River Marketplace in the next few days to bring Sister Miaoge home, and then well celebrate. Lu Changsheng voiced his plans. With Lu Miaoge still taking refuge with her children outside, he couldn't well start celebrating at home. Besides, how could they celebrate without Lu Miaoge present? Throughout their journey, Lu Miaoge had encouraged and accompanied him, hoping that he would cultivate well and one day achieve foundation establishment. Now that he had returned home after achieving foundation establishment, he naturally wanted to share this joy with her. Alright, well, do as you say, Changxing. Upon hearing these words, Lu Yuanding's face immediately showed a smile of relief. He felt that his daughter had not married the wrong person. Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Miaochang saw this and also nodded secretly, their faces showing smiles. Their trust in Lu Changxing had always been strong over the years, for he had always valued relationships and was a person of great sentiment. Then Lu Changxing walked towards his own residence with Ling Zixiao beside him. At this very moment, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Jinjin had already heard the news of Lu Changxing's return and his breakthrough in foundation establishment. When they heard the news, they thought they were hallucinating. But they knew that it was impossible for someone to make such a joke. Especially since Lu Jiming had sworn to Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan multiple times, asserting that Uncle Changxing had indeed returned and had broken through to foundation establishment. He was currently discussing matters in the hall with the elders and the family head, and would probably be back later. It was then that the women half believed these words. Mainly because the news was just too outrageous, too incredible. This was a foundation establishment great cultivator after all. How could their own husband, after just one trip outside, break through to foundation establishment and become a foundation establishment great cultivator? However, after receiving the news, they immediately notified the other concubines, maids and children in the back court to go out and welcome Lu Changxing's return. The concubines, maids and children, upon hearing the news of Lu Changxing's return, were all bewildered. Some could hardly believe the message. Immediately, the women waited anxiously and expectantly for Lu Changxing to come back. About a quarter of an hour later, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan and Chu Jinjin, who were waiting at the entrance of the estate, saw Lu Changxing, dressed in a green robe with handsome features and an otherworldly air, walking towards them with a woman dressed in a blue gown, her beautiful face framed with a high hair bun and a dignified demeanor. Husband! Husband! Father! Father! Upon seeing this scene, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin immediately ran towards Lu Changxing with excited faces and reddened eyes. Seeing Lu Changxing return with another woman, Lu Miaohuan immediately turned her pretty face away and snorted coldly. To think she had been so worried about him, and here he was flirting with another woman. Yuner, Jinjin. Lu Changxing quickly stepped forward and embraced his two wives. Seeing that their eyes were somewhat red, it was obvious they were very concerned about him. He immediately felt even more guilty. It's my fault. I was delayed so long on this trip outside and made you worry, said Lu Changxing, hugging his wives and gently patting their backs to comfort them. My husband has been busy with important matters outside, Lu Miaoyun said softly, holding on to Lu Changxing. Husband, I just heard that you've made a breakthrough in foundation establishment. Chu Jinjin looked up at her husband, seeking confirmation of the news. That's right. This time while I was out, I encountered some good fortune, which is why I managed to break through to foundation establishment, Lu Changxing said with a light laugh, tenderly stroking her hair. Congratulations on your breakthrough to foundation establishment, husband. Chu Zenshin's eyes widened as she heard this, then her face filled with affection as she congratulated her husband. Although she was not interested in cultivation after so many years on Qingzhou Mountain, she naturally knew what it meant to be a foundation establishment great cultivator. Upon hearing those words, Lu Miaoyun also showed a face full of surprise. Even though Lu Changxing had personally told her so, she still felt as if it were a dream, so surreal. But seeing the real Lu Changxing in front of her, the real touch, she immediately admired him, her eyes brimming with love as she said, Congratulations on becoming a foundation establishment great cultivator, husband. Congratulations on becoming a foundation establishment great cultivator, husband. Congratulations, father, on becoming a foundation establishment great cultivator. Congratulations, dad, on becoming a foundation establishment great cultivator. At this moment, the other concubines and children all stepped forward, bowed to Lu Changxing, and offered their loud congratulations. Chapter 552. One person completes a journey of several hundred years. _1 Lu Changxing looked at the wife, concubines and children before him. Memories of the past 20 years, the warm, joyful and caring moments spent with his wives and children, surfaced in his mind. He clearly remembered that whenever he made progress in his cultivation or talisman path, his wives and children would always congratulate him like this. But now, Initially, his wives and concubines like Lu Lanshu, Lu Zir, Lu Qing'er, and his children like Lu Pinggan, Lu Wuyu, and Lu Wuyo were not at Qingzhou Mountain but had gone to Rui Prefecture. Alas! Lu Changxing sighed softly in his heart, feeling a bit sentimental for a moment. However, looking at the scene before him, he put on a smile again and said, "Good, let's go home." Having said that, he saw Lu Miaohuan, who was standing aside in a black dress, graceful and elegant, biting her lip. Lu Changxing stepped forward, took hold of her wrist and said warmly, "Huan, I've made you worry." This second young miss, although she had improved her temper a lot. But in front of so many people, she was still too embarrassed to throw herself into his arms as Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin would. And Lu Changxing could guess Lu Miaohuan's thoughts. His long trip outside had caused concern. And to come back with another woman, naturally she was a little upset. But such a small tantrum as a husband he would naturally accommodate. He pacified Lu Miaohuan and, with all his wives and children, entered the house, briefly introducing Ling Zixiao to the women. Then, from the storage bag he took out gift after gift. Elixir medicines, vestment robes, and accessories for his wives and concubines to preserve their beauty and youth. And for his children, some vestment robes, small toys and sweets. Previously, on the one hand, his finances were limited. On the other hand, it was to avoid displaying wealth ostentatiously. So, the gifts he gave his family were generally within a certain range. This trip to Jiuxiao Immortal City he saw many nice trinkets. And thinking of revealing his foundation establishment Cultivation upon returning home, he decided to buy a bit more. Ling Zixiao watched the joyful atmosphere of Lu Changxing and his family and the image of a happy family. Seeing Lu Changxing's genuine smile, she understood that his previous mentions of missing his family were sincere. What a strange man. She sat quietly aside, maintaining her dignified composure, her face exhibiting an elegant smile. But her entire being seemed somewhat out of place in this heartwarming scene. Just then, a maid came forward, indicating that the fourth elder had arrived. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing promptly went out with Lu Miaoyun to welcome her. Grandmother. Lu Changxing looked at the fourth elder, with white hair and a face full of wrinkles, leaning on a cane, and went forward to support her. Cultivating individuals usually have the means to maintain their youth. But this old person was over 100 years old, with not much life left, so senility was increasingly evident. Changxing, I'm interrupting your family reunion. Grandmother couldn't contain her excitement when she heard about your foundation establishment, so she wanted to come and see for herself. The fourth elder looked at Lu Changxing in front of her, sizing him up, her face filled with a kind smile. She had watched Lu Changxing grow up step by step. It was hard to believe that the boy who was only at the third level of Qi refinement 20 years ago had become a foundation establishment great cultivator and second-rank talisman master. What are you saying, grandmother? Lu Changxing was still very respectful to the old woman and invited her into the main hall. He then revealed his foundation establishment cultivation and his talisman path level to her. Very good, grandmother said long ago that you, Changxing, would achieve great things one day. Seeing Lu Changxing not only break through to foundation establishment but also make such progress in the talisman path, the fourth elder could not hide her emotional excitement. Shakingly holding Lu Changxing's hand, full of gratified happiness, she spoke out loud, reminiscing about the past. The older one becomes, the closer to death, the more nostalgic and longing for the past they become. She had spent most of her life cultivating in the family, making talismans, contributing to the family. Now looking back, she believed the best decision she ever made was marrying Lu Miaoyun to Lu Changxing and educating this grandson-in-law. After chatting with Lu Changxing for a while, the fourth elder felt a bit tired and wanted to leave. At her age, both great joy and sorrow were very draining on her mental spirit and energy. Grandmother, I've acquired a second-rank lifespan extension pill during my time outside, please accept it. Lu Changxing looked at the old woman in front of him, took out a second-rank lifespan extension pill from his storage bag and spoke. It said that cultivators in the energy refinement late stage can live up to 2 jiazi, or 120 years. However, truly reaching that age is still rare. The fourth elder had never suffered any serious injury. But long-term dedication to the talisman path and making supreme talismans had greatly exhausted her mental spirit and energy. Now she had at most 10 years to live. This lifespan extension pill could almost extend her life by another 10 years. A second-rank lifespan extension pill? The fourth elder and everyone else present were extremely surprised. Lifespan extension pills were very precious and seldom seen on the market. A second-rank lifespan extension pill could sell for at least 7 or 8,000 spirit stones. Therefore, even though the fourth elder was a top-level talisman master, she had never consumed a second-rank lifespan extension pill. Changxing, your grandmother accepts your sentiment, but you should keep this lifespan extension pill for yourself, don't waste it. You've just broken through to Foundation establishment, there will be plenty of other expenses. The fourth elder cheerfully refused the lifespan extension pill, speaking out loud. She was very touched and gratified by Lu Changsheng's thoughtfulness. But in her view, it was a complete waste for her to use such a pill. Now, due to her old age, not only did she struggle to concentrate during talisman making, but she even experienced a trembling hand. It was difficult for her to draw first-grade supreme talismans anymore. Nowadays, she mainly gave guidance to the children and drew some simple, medium-quality talismans. Grandmother, please accept it. Chapter 553. One person completes the journey of several hundred years. Lu Changxing understood the mindset of such an elder. They were old and didn't want to waste resources. At the same time, cultivators from families like the Lu family often harbored a concept of putting the family first. No matter what Lu Changxing said, the elder was unwilling to accept the lifespan extension pill. In Lu Changxing's view, a second-rank lifespan extension pill was merely worth 7 or 8,000 spirit stones. He could earn that by making some elixir medicines or crafting some talismans. But to the elder it was a huge sum of money, and at their age they felt it wasn't worth spending it on themselves. Yuer, take your great-grandma back. Lu Changxing sighed softly, not insisting, and let his children take the fourth elder back. He planned to have his children deliver the lifespan extension pill to the elder later. He could say he had contributed a lot to the Lu family. But to the elder who had always looked after him, he hadn't given back much. That night, the bed gently swayed. Lu Changxing and his wives, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin, were entwined in intimacy. Afterward, Yuner, you have been working hard managing the household these days. On this trip, I obtained several high-rank breakthrough elixirs. In the time to come, you, Jinjin, and Huaner should focus on your cultivation and strive to break through the energy refinement late stage. Lu Changxing cradled his wife, his palm lightly caressing her snow-white skin, as he spoke with a gentle voice. Today, after returning from his foundation establishment, Lu Changxing noticed that Lu Miaoyun seemed to be weighed down by some worries. As a husband for many years, he naturally understood that his wife was very sensitive and lacked confidence, prone to overthinking. As he was constantly progressing but she was not, it naturally resulted in pressure in her heart. Now that he had broken through to foundation establishment, Lu Miaoyun was initially happy but surely couldn't help but overthink it afterward. Lu Changxing saw all this. So, at this moment he began to properly comfort his wife. Husband, there's no need to spend so extravagantly. You just broke through to foundation establishment and need a lot of resources. Plus, there are so many children at home. Lu Miaoyun nestled in Lu Changxing's arms, her voice weak and delicate. As Lu Changxing continued to progress, the women by his side became more and more outstanding. As the first official wife, she felt the pressure undeniable. Therefore, she could only maintain her dignity as the leading wife and manage the household affairs for Lu Changxing as best as she could. Yuner, I have said before, we are husband and wife, and for the rest of our lives, we should advance hand in hand. In this regard, you just listen to me. I will make arrangements for the children. Lu Changxing embraced his wife, his gentle voice carrying a hint of firmness, leaving no room for doubt. I know, husband. Lu Miaoyun was slightly startled upon hearing this. Then she pursed her moist and lustrous lips, nestling close, her face filled with tender affection. If there's anything, just tell me directly, don't keep it bottled up inside, he said. Lu Changxing's palm gently caressed her fair and rosy cheeks. After speaking, he looked at Chu Jinjin and said, Jinjin, the same goes for you. Chuanjin and the others are grown up now. You don't need to worry so much and can spend more time on your cultivation. I hope that one day in the future, all of you will be able to break through to foundation establishment and stay by my side. Lu Changxing spoke warmly. Chu Jinjin was not as prone to overthinking as Lu Miaoyun, but she truly wasn't very interested in cultivation. She felt that being by Lu Changxing's side with their children was enough to satisfy her. That's why she was still at the 5th level of energy refinement in terms of cultivation level. Lu Changxing felt that even with a high-grade breakthrough elixir, Chu Jinjin might not be able to break through the energy refinement late stage. He would only be able to wait until he established his own family lineage before letting her practice the heaven and earth longevity technique. I'll listen to you, husband. Chu Jinjin obediently nodded, her expression docile. Even after so many years, she still had a somewhat naive personality, like a child that had never grown up. But as she spoke, she began to worry about her children again, especially her son Lu Chuanjin. To say he was sensible, he was very much so. But in the eyes of his mother, engaging in dangerous activities, and not knowing to come home more often to see her, he was not sensible at all. Whenever she talked about this son, she looked utterly aggrieved. It's good that Chuanjin has his own opinions, and besides, he has me as a father. Lu Changxing immediately embraced his wife, his voice reassuring. In his heart he thought of his son, wondering how Lu Chuanjin was doing now after 2 years. As he and his wife continued their conversation, the topic gradually shifted to their children. Those of his children without a spiritual root were sent to the secular world, and many had started their own families. Lu Xianxia, who had a spiritual root, was now 19 years old. Lu Miaoyun was preparing to arrange a marriage for him. But because the Lu family had been quite preoccupied recently, and with many matters to attend to, she had been waiting for Lu Changxing to return before deciding, so nothing was settled yet. Now that Lu Changxing had returned, Lu Miaoyun brought up this matter, discussing these issues. Thinking about his children growing up one by one, Lu Changxing felt somewhat overwhelmed. It was a pleasure to marry and have children at the time. But to arrange everything properly for each of them now wasn't a simple task. The night grew deep. Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin fell asleep. Lu Changxing quietly left the room. He went to Lu Miaohuan's room. Having many wives and concubines was also a worry. But he didn't have to deal with all of them at once. Still, the second mistress with a bit of a tsundere temperament certainly needed to be soothed properly. Huan. As soon as he entered the room, Lu Changxing could tell from her breathing that Lu Miaohuan was still awake, clearly waiting for him. Lu Miaohuan didn't speak, turning away. Seeing this, Lu Changxing gave a light chuckle. Having been husband and wife for so many years, he knew well the character of Lu Miaohuan. Chapter 554. One person completes the journey of several hundred years. This was just her way of showing dissatisfaction, a signal that she was upset and wanted to be coaxed. Immediately, Lu Changxing approached the bed and embraced his petite and curvaceous wife in his arms. Then he whispered endearing words of affection and longing into her ear. In a short while, the second young lady was coaxed into happiness by Lu Changxing. Huan, I've prepared a special gift for you this time, said Lu Changxing softly, holding Lu Miaohuan in his embrace. From the storage bag he took out exquisite and splendid clothes, elegant and noble dresses and sexy shoes and stockings. Lu Miaohuan had always liked fashionable and attractive clothing. In Jiuxiao Immortal City, Lu Changxing passed by a heavenly garments pavilion. He noticed that their vestment robes were designed not for practicality, but for beauty, elegance, and attractiveness. Lu Changxing knew that Lu Miaohuan would definitely like them. Because of the expensive prices, he couldn't afford to buy a set for every wife and concubine, so he could only choose a few sets for some of his wives. As expected, upon seeing these uniquely crafted dresses and shoes, Lu Miaohuan's eyes shone brightly with surprise and delight. Huan, if you like them, why not try them on now? Lu Changxing's palm slowly caressed her body as he spoke in a warm tone. Humph! Upon hearing this, Lu Miaohuan gave Lu Changxing a feigned look of annoyance mixed with pleasure with her beautiful eyes. How could she not understand what Lu Changxing meant? Still, she was very happy inside. Because such behavior from Lu Changxing was a sign of his affection for her, just as always. Then the two began a playful game of dress-up in the room. Gradually a sense of spring filled the room. Accompanied by whimpers that sounded like complaints and longing, like weeping and entreaty. The next day, news of Lu Changxing's return after achieving foundation establishment spread throughout Qingzhou Mountain. Hiss, foundation establishment, Uncle Changxing has actually made a breakthrough to foundation establishment. What? The 9th elder has broken through to foundation establishment. Wasn't Lu Changxing at the 7th level of energy refinement? How did he manage to break through to foundation establishment? I heard that Brother Changxing gained an opportunity during his trip, which is why he fortuitously broke through to foundation establishment. Such luck, I'm really envious. You say it's luck and you actually believe it's just luck? A foundation establishment great cultivator, also a second-ranked talisman master, this. Sigh, to think I also indulge in eating, drinking and gambling every day, yet I don't get such an opportunity. Brother Changxing's talent in the talisman path, once affected by his cultivation level, Now that he's broken through to Foundation Establishment, he can continue to make progress in the art of talismans. Foundation Establishment. I recall he's about 40 years old, right? Inside Jianghu Mountain, people were buzzing with discussions about the news. Some were joyful, some were moved. Some envied, some felt bitter and jealous. Lu Changsheng's breakthrough to second-grade talisman master had already made many green with envy. Now that he had suddenly reached Foundation Establishment naturally upset some people's sense of balance. After all, in many people's eyes, Lu Changsheng didn't usually focus on cultivation, but obsessed over women. Even with such circumstances, it was accepted he had talent in talismans, yet he also had such luck, such an opportunity. However, many were also inspired by his achievement. They felt that as long as they didn't give up and worked hard, they might one day obtain an opportunity to break through Foundation Establishment themselves. In the cultivation world, stories of underdogs rising up were certainly not scarce. Now that Lu Changsheng had broken through to Foundation Establishment, to many in the Lu family, he was a living example. The immortal seedlings who had arrived at the Lu family with Lu Changsheng, now more than 20 years had passed. Aside from Li Feiyu, none had left. All had become integrated into the Lu family. Hearing this news, some felt as if a lifetime had passed. They remembered that sunset 20 years ago. Some regretted not having fostered a good relationship with Lu Changsheng at the outset. Of course, Lu Changsheng himself knew nothing of these discussions, nor did he care. At this moment he was taking his wives and concubines on a leisurely outing around Jianghu Mountain. It's been so long since I've been out, and today my husband actually has time to accompany us on this pastoral jaunt. Chu Jinjin wore a light pink dress adorned with embroidery of butterflies poised for flight, and draped over it was a layer of white gauze. Inhaling the fresh spring air of the mountain forest, her pretty face was lively and joyful. "It is I who have been too busy to take you out for relaxation and fun," he said. "From now on, I will certainly spend more time with my dear Jinjin," he promised. Lu Changsheng smiled, speaking in a gentle voice. Lu Miaoyun wore a jade green dress, her beautiful hair pinned up with a matching green hairpin. Gazing at the surrounding scenery, her elegant and gentle face showed a smile as she held onto Lu Changsheng's wrist, whispering, "Thank you, husband." She knew that Lu Changsheng did it to help her relax and clear her mind, to keep stray thoughts at bay. Cultivators paid great attention to their state of mind. If it was too disturbed and filled with too many stray thoughts, at best it would affect their cultivation efficiency, and at worst, it could even give rise to a heart demon, especially when facing a bottleneck. A poor state of mind could lead to failure, even if all the necessary resources were available. "Hee, we are husband and wife, what is there to thank?" Lu Changsheng chuckled. He felt that, if he had time, it would be good to take his wives and concubines out more often to relax, perhaps every few months. "Thank you, husband. You've worked hard, husband." The other ladies also took turns thanking Lu Changsheng. They knew that this outing was just a simple break for them. But for a Foundation Establishment great cultivator, a second-grade talisman master, to willingly take them out for leisure, they already felt very satisfied and touched. "All right, since we are here to enjoy ourselves, let's relax and be at ease," Lu Changsheng said with a smile, dismissing the formalities with a wave of his hand. During this time, he had not neglected any of his concubines or maids, inquiring about their well-being and the children's matters. These concubines and maids who remained on Jianghu Mountain had borne him many children. For instance, the first maid he bought from the White Jade Tower, Xiao Yuyao, had given birth to 7 children for him. Among these 7 children, 3 possessed spiritual roots. The youngest son, Lu Qingxian, even had a 4th-grade spiritual root. The maid Jiang Luiyue had borne him 6 children. One of these children had a 6th-grade spiritual root. Therefore, Lu Changsheng planned that once he established his own family, he would hold a grand wedding banquet to formally elevate all these maids to the status of concubines, giving them proper recognition. Thinking about the establishment of his family, Lu Changsheng, after the outing, casually visited the Lu family's spiritual fields, medicine gardens and pastures. The spiritual rice, spiritual medicine and spiritual beasts that the Lu family cultivated and raised were all of very low grade. One reason was the absence of inherited knowledge in the cultivation of spiritual plants and the taming of spiritual beasts. Another was the lack of adequate spiritual plant masters and beast tamers. This realization revealed to Lu Changsheng that this would be a problem when his family was established. After all, he had only a limited understanding of the cultivation of spiritual plants, spiritual medicine, and the rearing of spiritual beasts. Among his wives and concubines, not even Lu Miaoyun, Xiao Yuyao, Xiao Yueru, Guan Xian, or Shaoqing had more than a basic knowledge of spiritual food and plants, their skills limited to simple care of spiritual medicine and herbs and making spiritual meals. Sigh, Lu Changxing let out a small sigh in his heart. The closer the time came to establish his family, the more he realized that there was more to do and prepare than he had anticipated. He wanted to achieve in one step what other families took decades or even a century to accomplish and realized it would require several times the effort. Chapter 555, Test of Human Nature. Death Flag. _1 by Lake Mountain U family. Lu Changxing broke through to Foundation establishment? The patriarch of the Yu family received a piece of news, his eyes revealing shock and disbelief. I remember this Lu Changxing was at the 7th level energy refinement, wasn't he? How did he suddenly break through to Foundation establishment? He murmured to himself, his expression grave. Half a year ago their Yu family had taken action, incessantly harassing Qingzhou Mountain, causing Lu Miaofeng to fail her Foundation establishment. Now this Lu Changxing had suddenly broken through to Foundation establishment. If he hadn't known that such news couldn't possibly be false, he wouldn't believe it at all. If it's true, it would disrupt my Yu family's plans, the Yu family patriarch murmured. He then put the letter away and went to report to the family's elder. Lu Changxing? That second-grade talisman master from the Lu family has broken through to Foundation establishment? Patriarch of the Yu family Yu Jinyang frowned upon hearing this news. He hadn't expected that at a time when the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain's fortune had seemingly run out, a Lu Changxing would suddenly emerge. They had naturally kept an eye on Lu Changxing, but they had never imagined that Lu Changxing would break through to Foundation establishment. Ning Yuan, don't worry about this matter. Since Lu Changxing has reached Foundation establishment, prepare a generous gift and send it personally, Yu Ninghu said with a light laugh. Big brother, what do you mean by this? Asked the patriarch of the Yu family, puzzled. The incident of interfering with Lu Miaofeng's Foundation establishment, even though the Lu family had no evidence, they had a high suspicion it was done by their own family. Under such circumstances, the relationship between the two families had already hit rock bottom. It's just that the Lu family didn't dare to openly break off relations. If Lu Yuanzhong were in good health, he could live another 100 years, and Lu Changxing's breakthrough to Foundation establishment would be great news for the Lu family indeed. But now, with Lu Yuanzhong infected with corpse poison and not much life left, what do you think, will Lu Changxing have other ideas once Lu Yuanzhong dies? After all, this Lu Changxing is not from the main branch of the Lu family, he's an in-law. Yu Ning's face showed a smile as he spoke assuredly. Indeed, Yu Jinyang nodded approvingly after hearing his grandson's words. Not only was this grandson talented, but his disposition and handling of affairs also greatly satisfied him. If it weren't for the fear that too many affairs would affect Yu Ning's cultivation, he should have been the patriarch of the Yu family. Big brother is wise. The patriarch of the Yu family exclaimed, suddenly understanding the rationale. Even though the Lu family now had Lu Changxing, a Foundation establishment cultivator, to stabilize the situation and boost morale, Lu Yuanzhong's life was drawing to an end. Once Lu Yuanzhong died, within the main branch of the Lu family, there would no longer be a Foundation establishment cultivator. As an in-law who had achieved Foundation establishment facing the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, would he harbor thoughts of taking over? Or perhaps thoughts of establishing his own sect? This would be a tremendous test of human nature. Moreover, he had always paid attention to information regarding Lu Changxing, the second-ranked talisman master. He knew Lu Changxing had a particular hobby: acquiring wives and concubines, fathering children. With a multitude of wives and offspring numbering in the hundreds, such a flourishing lineage couldn't be underestimated within the Lu family. When the time comes, once Lu Yuanzhong dies, even if Lu Changxing were mindful of his ties to the Lu family, not wishing to usurp the leadership, what about his wives and children? With so many offspring, it's impossible for none to have their own ambitions. Once these offspring come of age, they will certainly use their father's connections and authority to vie with the main branch's descendants for resources and power. Over time, this will inevitably cause conflict and lead to a family split. But big brother, are we just going to let the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain fall into Lu Changxing's hands? The patriarch of the Yu family queried his own brother. The Yu family intended to seize the territory of Qingzhou Mountain for themselves, but even if Qingzhou Mountain were to split, the Yu family would find it difficult to profit from this. The Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain and the Bai family at 100 Birds Lake have been allied for generations. If the Lu family splits and Lu Changxing takes charge, the bond between the Bai and Lu families will also be severed. Moreover, if we can foresee these relations, I imagine the people of the Lu family can as well. Perhaps we don't even have to wait for the day Lu Yuanzhong dies. An estrangement will already have formed between Lu Changxing's lineage and the main branch of the Lu family, and that will be our opportunity. This Lu Changxing is also a second-grade talisman master, and I've reviewed his information. He indeed possesses exceptional talent in the talisman path. Now that he has achieved foundation establishment, his future in the talisman path is bound to be limitless. If he's willing to relinquish some benefits, wouldn't it be acceptable for our Yu family to cooperate with him? After all, once the Lu family splits, Lu Changxing will truly be incapable of controlling Jianghu Mountain's industries, veins and resources. Our family could offer assistance in managing these, Jianghu stated with a faint smile on his face. Ninghu makes sense. Ning Yuan, pass the word. Our Yu family members can try to build connections with Lu Changxing's offspring. That way, once Lu Changxing takes power, our family can also act through his offspring, the patriarch of the Yu family said after listening. Yes, elder. Yu Ningyuan, who was able to become the patriarch of the Yu family, was naturally no fool. Hearing his brother and elder's words, he had fully grasped the intricacies and knew how to proceed. At present, the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain could be distinctly divided into two branches. When dealing with people from these two branches, their Yu family could suppress one and side with the other, not only escalating the tension but also preparing for the future. Elder, there's a serious problem with this Lu Changxing. After Yu Ningyuan had left, Yu Ninghu turned to his family elder and spoke. I've looked at his records before. His cultivation was supposed to be at the 7th level energy refinement. Even with concealing his strength and a breakthrough, he should have been at the 8th level energy refinement at most. It's absolutely impossible for him to break through directly to foundation establishment. Besides, I remember this Lu Changxing possesses a low-grade spiritual root, and only after being eliminated by the Qingyun sect did he become a son-in-law to the Lu family. Chapter 556, Test of Human Nature. Death Flag. It's only because he has an exceptional talent in the talisman path that he was favored by the Lu family, slowly rising to become their son-in-law. Despite being just an unwanted son-in-law with a lower-grade spiritual root, even if his talent in the talisman path is extraordinary, his cultivation resources are limited. It's impossible for him to reach the 9th level energy refinement in just 20 years. So there must be a huge problem. He must have encountered some great fortune. Yu Ninggu's expression was solemn as he spoke. When Lu Changxing became a second-grade talisman master, he had been paying attention, and had investigated Lu Changxing's background. He felt that this person was problematic. Now seeing Lu Changxing's breakthrough to foundation establishment, he could almost confirm that there was a big issue with Lu Changxing. Exactly. Back then, the Lu family joined forces with the Bai family to attack the Qin family of Red Leaf Valley. The reason Red Leaf Valley fell so swiftly annihilated was precisely because a guest elder of the Qin family betrayed them at that time. And this guest elder has a significant relationship with Lu Changxing, so this Lu Changxing is definitely not simple. Yu Jinyang nodded in agreement and spoke out. In his words, a trace of murderous intent flickered in his eyes. He contemplated whether to find an opportunity to eliminate Lu Changxing. Otherwise, letting such a person continue to grow was indeed worrisome to him. Elder, we must not. Lu Changxing's sudden breakthrough to foundation establishment must be due to some unknown secret. He has been hiding his clumsiness all this time. No one knows how much he has hidden. This trip outside might have been precisely for a covert breakthrough to foundation establishment. Moreover, this person is also a second-grade talisman master. He must have many life-saving talismans in hand. Yu Ninghu saw the murderous intent of their family elder and slightly shook his head. To him, Lu Changxing's ability to break through to foundation establishment must be due to a great opportunity. It was even possible that he had obtained a rare legacy. Under such circumstances, it was too risky for his family to rashly attack the other party. If they failed to kill him, it would bring lots of trouble. I naturally understand, the elder said. But we still need to keep a close watch on this Lu Changxing. This young man's growth is indeed somewhat demonic. A son-in-law with a lower-grade spiritual root to break through to foundation establishment in just over 20 years? Yu Jinyang said in a deep voice. 100 Birds Lake by family. Lu Changxing has broken through foundation establishment? The Bai family head squinted his eyes as he read the letter in his hand. However, this event is also a good thing for our Bai family. Fei Fei has already borne a child for Lu Changsheng. If this child has a spiritual root, and the spiritual root talent is not bad, our Bai family's relationship with Lu Changsheng can be further strengthened. The Bai family head muttered to himself as he looked at the letter in his hand. He then proceeded to the lakeside courtyard. What is it? From inside the secret chamber of the courtyard, a deep and robust voice asked. Brother Yang, just now Fei Fei sent a letter, saying that Lu Changxing of Qingzhou Mountain had returned from his outside breakthrough to Foundation establishment. The Bai family head spoke out, addressing the family's newly advanced elder. Lu Changxing? That man has actually broken through Foundation establishment? I felt there was something unusual about that person, and now it seems he is truly extraordinary. A man in his 30s, tall and wearing a black robe embroidered with flying birds, stepped out of the small courtyard. He was the Bai family's newly advanced elder, Bai Yunyang. Oh, Brother Yang, you've met this Lu Changxing before? The Bai family had asked, somewhat surprised. Back when the family wanted me to marry Lu Miaoga, I met him several times in Nine Dragons Market and paid some attention to him, Bai Yunyang replied. At that time, knowing that the head of the Lu family was nearing the end of his life and both families needed to maintain their relationship, the Bai family hoped he would marry Lu Miaoga. Lu Miaoga not only had a 5th grade spiritual root, she was also an upper-class talisman master at a young age. If he could marry her, it would not only be beneficial to the family but also to him. Unfortunately, Lu Miaoga had expressed that she was devoted to cultivation and had no such intentions, so he had to leave empty-handed. Later, when he found out that Lu Miaoga married Lu Changxing, he paid some attention to Lu Changxing. He believed that if Lu Miaoga was willing to marry Lu Changxing, this man must be extraordinary. I see, I hadn't expected that you and this Lu Changxing were once love rivals, Brother Yang. The Bai family head and Bai Yunyang had grown up together. So even with the latter becoming the family elder, they could still joke around. It's hardly a matter of being love rivals. After all, I never competed with him for anything, Bai Yunyang said calmly. Indeed, he had once been captivated by Lu Miaoga. But he was not so infatuated with a woman that he would keep thinking about her incessantly. Since this Lu Changxing has broken through Foundation establishment, our Bai family should still prepare a gift. Moreover, now that Fei Fei has married Lu Changxing as a concubine and has given birth to a child, when you go there, you can talk with Fei Fei and see her opinion of Lu Changxing. After all, after the battle at Blackwater Pool, the Lu family's patriarch Yuanzhong suffered severe injuries and his current condition is not good. It's uncertain how long he can live, Bai Yunyang said softly. Yes. The Bai family head picked up on the hidden meaning in the elder's words. Wugong Ridge Zheng family. Lu Changxing has broken through to Foundation establishment. It seems it was not in vain that our family's elder humbled himself to give away Xiao Wan as a concubine to this Lu Changxing. The Zheng family's elder mumbled to himself upon receiving the news. Now that Lu Changxing has made a breakthrough, perhaps I can use this Lu Changxing and the Lu and Bai families to stir things up. He was aware that his family had long been infiltrated by the Yu family. But the most depressing thing for a family is to have no successor to carry on the legacy. Like the Lu and Bai families, even if something happens to the elder, at least there are younger members who can try for Foundation establishment. But his Zheng family, the old are too old, the young too young. There's not a single promising seed in their midst capable of challenging Foundation establishment. What a sad state of affairs. Moreover, the Zheng family's elder even suspected that some of the family's former seeds might have fallen victim to the Yu family's schemes. Chapter 557. Test of Human Nature. Death Flag. But even with doubts and knowledge it was useless. He was old. He didn't dare to fight anymore, he couldn't win. Now he could only live in miserable comfort under the protection of the Yu family. At least after his death, the family spirit land could ostensibly be preserved. If the younger generation proved capable and one of them achieved Foundation establishment, perhaps they could wrest back control of Wugong Ridge from the Yu family. Not only the Yu family but the Bai family and the Zheng family as well. Many of the smaller family powers in the vicinity received information about the Lu family, about Lu Changxing. What a pity that the Lu family doesn't celebrate the Foundation establishment ceremony, otherwise I would have offered my daughter as a concubine to Lu Changxing. Your daughter may possess a 6th grade spiritual root, but with such plain looks, would Lu the Master even spare her a glance? Foundation establishment great cultivator, 2nd grade talisman master. I must find out which child of Lu the Master is favored, there might be a chance to foster good relations through that connection. Upon hearing about Lu Changsheng's breakthrough in foundation establishment, these people immediately thought of offering their daughters. After all, those families who had previously given their daughters as concubines or maids to this Master Lu now all had offspring. If the offspring possessed spiritual root talent and the future looked promising, it wouldn't be necessary for them to do anything for their maternal home. Just this connection alone would be enough to bring them many benefits. Lu Changxing was unaware of these external affairs. In the last few days, he had been at home accompanying his wives and concubines, concerned about the well-being of his children. Of course, he hadn't forgotten the little girl Bai Ling either. About Bai Ling's situation, he had gathered some information in Jiuxiao Immortal City. It was much as he had suspected. There was a high probability that her ancestors carried the bloodline of the demon race. Now, a reversion to ancestral traits was occurring. But based on the state of Bai Ling's scales, Lu Changxing was unable to determine exactly which demon race bloodline was reverting. He could only guess that it was a snake demon bloodline. Brother, Bai Ling was still as affectionate and sweet-voiced when facing Lu Changxing. If Chu Zhenshin's personality was like that of a child who never grew up, then Bai Ling was even more so, her nature incredibly simple and pure. Linger. Lu Changxing naturally pulled her into his embrace, kissed her porcelain forehead, and then gently ruffled her little head. Over a year had passed, and though the little girl hadn't grown much taller, her figure had become increasingly exquisite and attractive. With curves that were alluring, especially the slim waist of the young girl. She perfectly embodied the concept of a water serpent waist. Does Linger have something she wants to say? Lu Changxing chatted casually with Bai Ling, caring about her situation. Seeing Bai Ling hesitate to speak, her face blushing, he asked. Brother, Linger is 18 years old now. Brother once said, when I turned 18 I could marry brother. Bai Ling clasped her white dress, lifted her beautiful head slightly, lightly bit her moist cherry lips, and with a pair of watery eyes full of hope, she looked at Lu Changxing with a timid expression. From the moment Lu Changxing took her home, she had been smitten with him. But she was too young then to understand all of this. When she reached 14 or 15 she gradually came to understand. She started to anticipate furthering her relationship with Lu Changxing, hoping to bear Lu Changxing children, just like the sisters in the house. But Lu Changxing had never broached the subject. Finally, she mustered the courage to ask brother if he liked her. Lu Changxing, seeing Bai Ling in such a state, knew she was experiencing the first stirrings of love, so he said to wait until she was a little older, after she turned 18. This promise had Bai Ling eagerly looking forward to the day, waiting for it. A few days ago, when Lu Changxing returned, she was filled with joy and anticipation, but brother had not brought it up, had not initiated the conversation. So, after much thinking and restless nights, she finally decided to take the initiative and gather her courage. When Lu Changxing heard this, he too remembered that it had been 7 years since had brought Bai Ling home. Because she was so young at the time and considering her physical condition, had always kept her at his side. Which led him to feel almost as if he were raising a daughter. It seems Linger can't wait any longer. Lu Changxing looked at the shy, pitiable girl before him, who nearly cried out in her eagerness to speak, and laughed as he said. He pinched her delicate and flawlessly smooth, beautiful face. In the 7 years that had passed, the little girl had become a woman who could cause the downfall of a state. Even among his harem, there were few who could rival the beauty of Bai Ling, this little girl. Her delicate and pure face was naturally gorgeous, conveying an ethereal, untainted innocence that seemed removed from the mortal world. Her large, clear eyes were like peach blossoms, misted with dew, appearing enchanting and seductive, captivating the heart. An innocent and enchanting face, an exquisitely curvaceous figure, a moving, endearing, coy demeanor. All these qualities in one person made every move, every smile deeply stirring. Lu Changxing felt that only a man like himself could remain unmoved by Bai Ling's charm. Looking at the girl's blushing face with eyes like silk and peach blossom-like dew-wet eyes, Lu Changxing chuckled and said, Linger, wait for brother to finish his current matters, then he'll marry you, alright? As soon as he spoke, he was slightly taken aback. He felt as if his words were like establishing a flag for impending death. Bai Ling, hearing this, immediately nodded vigorously, her face alight with happiness. Chapter 558, Demon Race Cultivation Technique, heading to Green River District, extra for 1,000 monthly votes. _1, Zishao, can you check on Bai Ling's condition? After chatting with Bai Ling for a while, Lu Changxing thought of her situation and called Ling Zixiao over. Having spent so much time together, he knew that Ling Zixiao's knowledge was broader than his own. She might be able to discern Bai Ling's condition and identify what demon race bloodline she had. Big brother. Seeing that Ling Zixiao was about to check her, Bai Ling, with a timid and weak face, clung to Lu Changxing's arm. After so many years, she still didn't dare to let anyone other than Lu Changxing see her scales. It was only after getting close to people like Lu Miaoyun and Chu Jinjin that she felt a bit better. But she was still very sensitive about this matter. Now, seeing Lu Changxing asking Ling Zixiao to check on her, she thought there was something wrong with her body that made Lu Changxing unhappy. "It's okay, little Linger. Sister Zixiao isn't a bad person, she's just taking a look," Lu Changxing said gently, rubbing her head. Then he lifted her wrist, covered in scales, to his lips and kissed it. Her scales, perfectly fused with her fair and delicate skin, were crystal clear, cold to the touch, and not at all disgusting. In Lu Changxing's eyes, it even had a kind of demonically charming beauty. Hum. Comforted by Lu Changxing like this, Bai Ling's pure and charming little face immediately showed happiness and shyness. What she feared most was Lu Changxing's disgust or aversion to her. "This man really is..." Ling Zixiao sighed softly to herself, seeing Lu Changxing's actions and Bai Ling's dependency on him. She could only say that against a man like Lu Changxing, innocent girls like Bai Ling had no resistance. Even if Lu Changxing sold her, she would probably help him count the money. She then began to examine Bai Ling, using her mana and divine sense to check her physical condition. A moment later, Ling Zixiao furrowed her brow slightly and after a moment of contemplation said to Lu Changxing, "It should be that she has some demon race bloodline, leading to bloodline reversion. But it's also possible that when her bloodline awakened, there was a mutation. As for what demon race bloodline it is, I'm not sure. However, this bloodline is not simple," Ling Zixiao said. Although she couldn't determine Bai Ling's exact situation, based on Lu Changxing's description, she could sense that Bai Ling was extraordinary. The bloodline in her body might be that of a rare demon race, or it might be a powerful mutated bloodline. Otherwise, a human who had undergone bloodline reversion and awakened to a demon race bloodline couldn't possibly make such rapid progress with an ordinary cultivation method. She couldn't help but admire Lu Changxing's good fortune and opportunities. Lu Changxing nodded slightly upon hearing this. "My lord, Bai Ling likely has some kind of serpent bloodline. If she were given a serpent or demon cultivation method, her bloodline might be able to reveal some of its potential. Even her cultivation speed might become faster," Ling Zixiao continued. "Demon beasts cultivate instinctively through their bloodlines. But when a demon beast reaches second rank, it gains a certain level of intelligence. Some demon beasts, through bloodline inheritance, receive the fundamental methods of cultivation, such as refining flesh and blood, absorbing nature's spiritual energy, and the essence of the sun and moon. If a demon beast reaches third rank, it is essentially no different from a human cultivator, capable of practicing cultivation methods and innate divine abilities. Therefore, the demon race also has its cultivation methods. However, the cultivation methods of the demon race and the human race are not compatible, and they generally cannot cultivate each other's techniques. But for someone like Bai Ling who has experienced bloodline reversion and awakened a demon race bloodline, she might be more compatible with some demon cultivation methods." "A demon race cultivation method? Faster cultivation?" Lu Changxing's eyebrows raised when he heard this. In his view, Bai Ling's current cultivation speed was already astonishing. In 6 years she had reached the 6th level of energy refinement. He estimated that in another year she would be able to break through to the 7th level of energy refinement. And these years he had only given her some spirit stones. He hadn't given her any elixir medicines. If cultivating a demon race method could make Bai Ling's progress even faster, that would be amazing. However, he had only ever heard of demon race cultivation methods. He had never seen any in the marketplace. "Indeed, I once heard a rumor about a nascent soul immortal with the Silver Moon Heavenly Wolf bloodline," Ling Zixiao said, shaking her head. At first, she cultivated with human race methods and made slow progress. But then she accidentally obtained a demon race heritage, which unlocked the potential of her Silver Moon Heavenly Wolf bloodline, leading to rapid improvement in her cultivation level, achieving core formation, and possessing astonishing combat strength. However, I've only heard about this and don't know the details. As for demon race cultivation methods, indeed they are rarely circulated outside, and this kind of method is generally only mastered by a third-ranked demon king." Lu Changxing nodded thoughtfully. He pondered whether his system lottery could draw a demon race cultivation method. He vaguely remembered that when he had 50 offspring he received a chance for a specific lottery draw. Many names of cultivation methods appeared then. It seemed there were names that looked like they were for demon race cultivation. Never mind, it's not urgent, he thought. Besides, even if there are demon race cultivation methods, they may not necessarily be suitable for Bai Ling. Moreover, given Bai Ling's situation, even if she becomes powerful, it's unlikely that she could fight against others. Lu Changxing gently shook his head. He felt that with Bai Ling's circumstances, she'd better live a carefree life at home, peacefully. As for her cultivation, it was already pretty good now. So, the demon race cultivation methods weren't a priority. While the three of them were talking, a maid informed Lu Changxing that Lu Yuanding and the family head Lu Miaocheng had arrived. Okay. Hearing this, Lu Changxing nodded and headed toward the main hall. Chapter 559, Demon Race Cultivation Technique, heading to Green River District, extra for 1,000 monthly votes. Knowing that these two generally sought him out for serious matters, Lu Changxing was certain something important was at hand. Changxing. Lu Yuanding and Lu Miaocheng, who had been waiting in the hall, stood up and greeted him immediately upon seeing Lu Changxing's arrival. Their manners were obviously much more courteous than usual. Father-in-law, family head, have you come because there is something you need? Lu Changxing asked. He had no idea what matter they would need to discuss with him today, having just spoken with them yesterday. Right away, Lu Miaocheng indicated that although the foundation establishment ceremony would not be held, they would still celebrate it within the family. Additionally, several familiar families would send representatives to offer their congratulations. Moreover, in the cultivation world, the advanced are honored first. Among the immortal sects, once someone makes a major breakthrough in their realm, their generational status is automatically elevated. This was the same for the cultivating families of Jianghu Mountain. As long as one broke through to foundation establishment, they would be promoted to the status of family ancestor. This was a matter of identity and status. This way, no one in the family would disrespect a foundation establishment great cultivator by pulling rank due to age. Now that Lu Changxing had broken through foundation establishment, he should be promoted to the status of family ancestor. Therefore, during the family celebration, a ceremony would be held to formally announce Lu Changxing as the Lu family ancestor. This, as for the matter of foundation establishment, isn't it enough that everyone knows about it? There's no need for the title of ancestor. Lu Changxing spoke with a slight frown upon hearing this. He was not eager to carry the title of Lu family ancestor of Jianghu Mountain. Bearing this title, he felt it would be extremely awkward to face his wife, Lu Yuanding, the fourth elder, and others in the future. Moreover, since he had already begun preparations to establish his own family, what need was there to take on the title of Lu family ancestor? Changxing, this is the rule of our Jianghu Mountain. Now that you have ascended to foundation establishment, you should rightfully become the family ancestor. Lu Yuanding tried to persuade Lu Changxing. Now that Lu Changxing had broken through to foundation establishment, they naturally had to give him the treatment he deserved. Father-in-law, the title of ancestor really isn't necessary. To me, knowing about the foundation establishment is enough. There's no need for any ceremony. You know I've never liked trouble. Lu Changxing spoke firmly. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanding pondered for a moment before saying, if that's the case, how about you take on the position of the great elder of the family? The powers of the great elder of the Lu family were immense. Responsible for the family's finances and assisting the family head in managing family affairs. Seeing that Lu Changxing was still going to refuse, Lu Yuanding immediately spoke solemnly, expressing that now Lu Changxing had broken through foundation establishment to become a foundation establishment great cultivator, the family naturally had to give him the suitable recognition. Otherwise, it would appear that their Lu family could not accommodate talented individuals. As for the duties of the great elder, if Lu Changxing was unwilling to manage affairs, he could simply hold the title as the current ninth elder did. Since his father-in-law had spoken to this extent, Lu Changxing could only agree. He was well aware that the current state of the Lu family meant they couldn't provide much in terms of benefits and treatment. Therefore, they had to give him enough respect in terms of titles. Though Lu Changxing didn't mind these things, it was good that the Lu family itself had this awareness and attitude. Alright, let's do as you say, father-in-law. As for the duties, let's just keep things as they are. You know I usually don't like to manage affairs. Lu Changxing spoke. Good. Lu Yuanding showed a slight smile and nodded upon hearing this. He knew in his heart that even though he had offered Lu Changxing the title of Great Elder, Lu Changxing was definitely not keen on managing affairs or getting involved in family business. Afterward, Lu Yuanding informed Lu Changxing that a cave dwelling had been prepared for him in the family's core area. If Lu Changxing wanted to cultivate on a daily basis, he could use this place for his cultivation. Moreover, considering Ling Zixio's situation and out of respect for Lu Changxing, the Lu family had also prepared a dwelling for Ling Zixiao. Such dwellings were located around the spiritual focal points of the spirit veins on Qingzhou Mountain, where the spiritual energy was incredibly dense. Shortly after, Lu Yuanding took Lu Changxing to see the cave dwelling. Lu Changxing briefly checked it out. The spiritual energy was indeed very dense. Even though it wasn't as good as the A-ranked cave dwelling he used in the Qingyun market when he broke through to Foundation establishment, it was still much richer in spiritual energy than his current residence. "Thank you, father-in-law." Lu Changxing expressed his gratitude aloud. "This is what the family should do. Changxing, right now the family situation is such that we indeed cannot provide you with much in the way of resources." Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanding sighed slightly and said to Lu Changxing, "Father-in-law, I understand. Don't worry, things will get better slowly." After so many years together, Lu Changxing knew what kind of person his father-in-law Lu Yuanding was. The man wasn't trying to play the victim in saying this, it was an expression of helplessness. Over the past few days, Lu Changxing had come to roughly understand the Lu family's situation. The family savings had been nearly spent in the attempt to support Lu Miaofeng's breakthrough to Foundation establishment. Moreover, due to Lu Yuanzhang's health, the family had scaled back many of their businesses, leading to reduced family income. The current situation was indeed not so great. "I'm sorry for the hardship, Changxing." Lu Yuanding sighed again deeply and patted Lu Changxing on the shoulder as he spoke. "No matter, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility," Lu Changxing said with a smile. During their casual conversation, Lu Yuanding asked Lu Changxing when he planned to head to Green River Marketplace. "Father-in-law, I'm planning to go there tomorrow," Lu Changxing said. He had decided long ago to stay at home for 3 days before heading to Green River Marketplace to pick up Lu Miaoga and the children. It was also a good opportunity to see Xianxia. Having not seen each other for over a year, now that he was back, it was naturally time to meet. He could also inquire about the value of the Qingyun sect token he had obtained from Qiyun True Immortal. "Good, be careful on the road when you go." Lu Yuanding nodded and responded after hearing the plan. He also suggested that Lu Changxing could conceal his identity when leaving. Following the incident with Lu Miaofeng, Lu Yuanding was somewhat worried that other family forces might harm Lu Changxing. Chapter 560, Demon Race Cultivation Technique, heading to Green River District, extra for 1,000 monthly votes. Father-in-law, rest assured. Lu Changxing nodded upon hearing this. Then he briefly practiced cultivation in his cave dwelling. When he returned home, he learned that his son Lu Xianji and daughter Lu Rui had returned from the Red Leaf Valley Market. The two children were no longer young. Having broken through to the 4th level of energy refinement, he had arranged for them to manage a shop in the Red Leaf Valley Market. Upon hearing of their return, he immediately had someone call his son and daughter over. Son pays respect to father. Congratulations on achieving Foundation establishment, great cultivator. Daughter pays respect to daddy. Congratulations on achieving Foundation establishment, great cultivator. The siblings came to the hall, greeted Lu Changxing respectfully and bowed. They were baffled when they received the news that their father had returned from his trip having achieved Foundation establishment. After organizing and handling their affairs, they rushed back home. "Sit." Lu Changxing nodded slightly as he looked at his children before him. He inquired about how they had been living in the Red Leaf Valley Market over the past year. "I am incompetent." Lu Xianji, feeling somewhat embarrassed, scratched his head and reported to Lu Changxing. He was only a low-grade puppet master, and the shop couldn't make any money. He could only sell some simple puppet toys or provide maintenance services for others. The entire shop's profit depended on the spirit talisman materials purchased from the Peace Talisman Hall and the Lu family spiritual talisman shop. But in the aspect of spirit talismans, due to the lack of a well-known brand and popularity, business was quite average. So, over the past year, the shop hadn't made much profit in spirit stones. If they included the cost of the storefront, the two had been operating at a loss for the year. Hee. Lu Changxing smiled and shook his head upon hearing this. He could understand this situation. In the cultivation world, without a brand reputation or core competitiveness in the market, it would be impossible to make money. When he originally took over the shop, he never expected Lu Xianxia to make money from it. After all, being a puppet master was all about earning meager profits. And with Lu Xianxia's entry-level puppetry skills, he couldn't really make much money. It's all right, I never expected you to make any money. I only wanted you to gain more experiences, to toughen up. If you're willing, you can keep running the shop. If you're unwilling to manage it, then stay home and practice cultivation, delve into puppetry, talismans, spirit plants, or spiritual medicine. Lu Changxing said aloud. His thoughts on his children were straightforward. If they had a talent for cultivation, focus on practicing. If not, take the path of business management or craftsmanship. If all else fails, simply live at home idly and continue the family lineage. Father, let Sister Rui manage the shop. It can still make some money. I will focus on studying puppetry at home. Lu Xianxia spoke up. He knew that with his 9th grade spiritual root, his practice progressed slowly. Therefore, he had no expectations for remarkable achievements in cultivation and planned to focus more on puppetry. Although Lu Changxing considered puppetry to be a mere sweatshop, in Lu Xianxia's eyes, it was still a decent craft. Rui, what do you think? Lu Changxing nodded and looked towards his daughter, Lu Rui. Daughter will follow daddy's arrangements. Lu Rui said crisply. All right then, that's settled. You will be in charge of managing the shop at Red Leaf Valley Market. Xianxia, if you have any problems with puppetry, you can come directly to me. Lu Changxing nodded. Then he let his children go back to rest well. After spending 3 days with his wives and children at home, Lu Changxing was ready to go to Green River Marketplace to bring Lu Miaoga back home. Zishao, I am going out for a bit. These days you can relax at home. This is the technique of talisman formation. You can take a look at it by yourself first. If there's anything you don't understand, I will teach you when I return. Keep these talismans. They can be used for self-defense or for practicing talisman formation. Lu Changxing arrived at Ling Zixio's courtyard, took out a jade slip and 2 stacks of talismans and said to her. In the past few days, he had mostly been accompanying his wives and children. Ling Zixiao didn't enjoy the bustle much. Most of the time, she would be in the yard reading or studying formations alone. Thus, Lu Changxing imprinted some techniques of talisman formation and spiritual patterns from the 99 mystical talisman scripture for her to while away the time. Thank you, my lord. My lord, please be careful on your journey. Ling Zixiao received the jade slip and talismans. Her refined face showed a faint smile as she nodded gently. When Miaoga comes back, there is hope for resolving your dragon roar physique. Lu Changxing smiled at Ling Zixiao and said. As long as Lu Miaoga successfully cultivates the water of virtue technique, Ling Zixio's aftereffects of the dragon roar physique might be addressed and recovered. Lu Miaoga? Ling Zixiao was slightly surprised upon hearing this. She knew that Lu Miaoga was the legitimate daughter of the Lu family and Lu Changxing's wife. But as far as she knew, Lu Miaoga was only a 9th-level energy refinement cultivator. How could she possibly have a way to resolve her dragon roar physique? However, since Lu Changxing said so, she still held a bit of trust in his words. She became curious about this Lu Miaoga in her heart. Because in the past few days she had observed that Lu Changxing's other wives were quite ordinary. To put it bluntly, calling them vases wouldn't be an exaggeration. Only Lu Miaoga, with her 9th-level cultivation and status as a top-level talisman master, was relatively outstanding. Lu Changxing also clearly cared more for this wife. All right. Ling Zixiao smiled gently, her face beautiful and demeanor dignified. After briefly saying goodbye to Ling Zixiao, Lu Changxing left Qingzhou Mountain, commandeered a purple flying shuttle, and headed for Green River Marketplace. This purple flying shuttle was acquired from 5 robber cultivators he had encountered at Jiuxiao Immortal City. For traveling purposes, its speed was about half faster than a spirit boat. Normally, it would take almost half a month to go from Qingzhou Mountain to Green River Marketplace. By riding this flying shuttle, he estimated it would take around 10 days to arrive. Chapter 561. Husband is not gifted, it's the perfect foundation base. _110 days later. Green River Marketplace. A handsome young man with a tall stature, dressed in a green robe, controlled a purple flying shuttle, and descended outside the marketplace. Many cultivators around him sensed the emanation of foundation establishment spirit pressure and hastened to make way, their faces showing respect and awe. Lu Changxing paid no attention to the behavior of the people around him and stored the flying shuttle away. From his storage bag, he took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and sent a message to Lu Miaoge and Xianxia. Currently both women were in the marketplace. It would have been awkward had he only looked for one in case they were chatting together. So he decided to send a message to both and meet them together. Not much later. A woman wearing a snow-white dress, her beautiful face clear and lovely, her figure graceful, and her temperament gentle like water, walked out of Green River Marketplace. Changxing. She searched with her beautiful eyes, and upon seeing Lu Changxing, her face revealed an excited and joyful expression. She ran forward and embraced Lu Changxing tightly, inhaling the familiar scent. Sister Miaoge, I'm sorry for making you worry. Lu Changxing felt the warmth of his wife's embrace softening his heart. He knew his delayed return from this trip had caused Lu Miaoge much concern. That's why she was so emotionally excited upon seeing him. Under normal circumstances, Lu Miaoge wouldn't have reacted so extremely. After embracing for a moment, Lu Miaoge let go of Lu Changxing, feeling a bit embarrassed for acting like this in public. However, she had been worried about Lu Changxing's safety all this time. Changxing, your magic aura? Upon letting go of Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoge's emotions stabilized slightly, and immediately she sensed an almost imperceptible spirit pressure coming from him. She had felt this kind of spirit pressure from Lu Yuanzhong and Xiaoxia. It was the pressure of Foundation establishment. Now, feeling this magic aura from Lu Changxing, her beautiful eyes showed surprise, amazement and delight. That's right, Sister Miaoge, I have made a breakthrough in Foundation establishment. Lu Changxing, looking into his wife's astonished and delighted eyes, smiled gently. The thing he most wanted to let Lu Miaoge know upon returning home was that he had achieved Foundation establishment. It wasn't to show off. For years, Lu Miaoge had always been encouraging him, supporting him, urging him to cultivate diligently, to strive and someday achieve Foundation establishment. Although he often took her encouragement and motivation lightly, he remembered all of it in his heart. So, he wanted to tell Lu Miaoge that he didn't let down her expectations, her love. The promise he once made, that both of them could achieve Foundation establishment one day, was not just joking, just to make her happy. Foundation establishment, Foundation establishment. Changxing, you have achieved Foundation establishment. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge was moved to tears. Her joyful eyes turned slightly red, and her voice choked up. Sister Miaoge. Lu Changxing looked surprised. He had not expected his achievement in Foundation establishment to impact Lu Miaoge so profoundly, making her reveal such emotions, and his heart ached slightly. He had kept too much from her. I just knew it, Changxing, that you would definitely be able to achieve Foundation establishment. This trip must have been very dangerous. Lu Miaoge raised her beautiful head slightly, her eyes brimming with tenderness, and her delicate hand caressed Lu Changxing's cheek with a voice soft as water. Before Lu Changxing left, he had said he would bring her a surprise upon his return. Now, seeing Lu Changxing's breakthrough in Foundation establishment, she thought this was the surprise he had mentioned. But to her, Foundation establishment was fraught with peril. Even if Lu Changxing had a great opportunity, it was still very dangerous for him to go out alone to try Foundation establishment. It wasn't dangerous, not dangerous at all. I worried you, Sister Miaoge. Lu Changxing gently wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, sighing slightly in his heart. He felt he really owed Lu Miaoge an apology for always keeping her in the dark and worrying about him. I'm happy. I just knew that you could do it, you could definitely do it. Lu Miaoge, afraid she was dreaming, embraced Lu Changxing again, feeling her husband's warmth and familiar breath. Now, not only had her husband returned safely, but he had also achieved the Foundation establishment stage she had longed for and had striven for in her dreams, making it all seem unreal. Sigh. Lu Changxing sighed inwardly. The more Lu Miaoge acted like this, the more guilty he felt. In her mind, his trip for Foundation establishment may have seemed filled with immense danger. After all, not long ago, Lu Miaofeng had failed at Foundation establishment, and Lu Miaoge herself was facing the daunting obstacle of Foundation establishment, aware of its difficulties. Yet in reality he had achieved Foundation establishment long ago, and this trip was merely for shopping. After a while, Lu Miaoge finally released Lu Changxing again. Changxing, I overreacted a little. Even though I believed you would achieve Foundation establishment, I was still somewhat in disbelief. Lu Miaoge spoke, her face joyful and tender like snow and water, her smile radiant. Her beautiful eyes sparkled with soft ripples, filled with tender affection. The look of someone in love, incomparable. Didn't you say that I could definitely do it? Lu Changxing held his wife's hand, feeling tenderness in his heart. Sister Miaoga, I told you before, not only would I be able to achieve foundation establishment in the future, but both of you will achieve it. Let's go inside first, I have a surprise for you later. Lu Changxing held Lu Miaoge's hand and spoke with a smile. A surprise? Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge's joyful eyes sparkled with curiosity as she entered the marketplace with Lu Changxing. That's right, you'll know in a bit. Lu Changxing nodded his head. He anticipated the moment he would give the cultivation technique, foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spirit objects to Lu Miaoge, looking forward to her happy reaction. Chapter 562. Husband is not gifted, it's the perfect foundation base. Changxing, I have something to tell you as well. Lu Miaoge thought of Lu Qingshan and Lu King's affairs and spoke to Lu Changxing. Oh, what is it? Lu Changxing held Lu Miaoge's delicate and boneless slender hand. The two walked along the marketplace street, looking every bit the perfect match. When I brought the children to Green River Marketplace during a rest on the way, the earth spirit mouse you gave to Jianghu detected treasures nearby. Lu Miaoge spoke and narrated the affairs of Lu Qingshan and Lu Jianghu. In her view, the children being accepted as disciples by a nascent soul immortal was a great matter, a grand opportunity. But seeing Lu Changxing's return from foundation establishment and thinking of the children leaving to become disciples without even getting a chance to see him, she felt a sense of loss and melancholy. Yu Country Jianghu Sect Tianyuan True Immortal. When Lu Changxing heard this, his brows knitted slightly. He hadn't expected that his son Lu Qingshan would be taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal. Others might not know that Lu Qingshan possessed a Gingjin body constitution, but as his father, he was well aware. Therefore he always had high expectations for this son. He had been instilling some principles of the sword Dao in Lu Qingshan. Considering teaching him the Venus solar sword technique, once he began his cultivation training and grooming him properly. But now, his son had been taken away by a nascent soul immortal to be made a disciple. Not only his son Lu Qingshan but also his daughter Lu Jianghu had been taken away as disciples. Lu Jianghu was Lu Miaoge's daughter. So through love for the mother, he was likewise very fond of this daughter and often kept her by his side. But now, he hadn't even had the chance to see these children before they were taken away by a nascent soul immortal. Moreover, this nascent soul immortal came from Yu Country's Jianghu sect, not from Jiang Country. It would be very troublesome for him to visit his children in the Yu Country's Jianghu sect. There was no way to visit his children anytime soon. Sigh. Lu Changxing let out a soft sigh in his heart. To Lu Miaoge, her children becoming disciples of a nascent soul might naturally be seen as a great matter, a grand opportunity. But in his view, it could only be considered moderate. After all, with the system and orthodox level cultivation technique inheritance, he was confident that the children he would teach wouldn't be inferior. Regardless, it was not his place to say anything about the matter. Because if there was anyone to blame, it would be himself. Not only was there a delay in returning from his trip, but the cause of the events was also related to the earth spirit mouse he gave to Lu Jianghu. Qingshan and little Zhuer being seen and taken as disciples by a nascent soul immortal is a good thing. If we have time later, we can take Huan with us and go to Yu Country's Jianghu sect to visit them. Lu Changxing took a deep breath, exhaled gently and spoke in a soothing voice. This Tianyuan True Immortal gave me a token for correspondence, allowing us to travel on a Jianghu Merchant Association's spiritual vessel to Yu Country's Jianghu sect. I've asked Shiyu and she said that every year, there's a spiritual vessel from the Jianghu Merchant Association at Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Lu Miaoge nodded slightly and so explained. Originally, she thought with only her qi refinement cultivation level, it would be very risky and inconvenient to go to Yu Country's Jianghu sect to visit her children. Now with Lu Changxing's breakthrough to foundation establishment in her eyes, it was much more convenient. Yet while speaking she also thought of the current situation of the Lu family. With the old ancestor Lu Yuanzhong's life drawing to a close, once he passed away, both she and Lu Changxing would likely have no time to go to Yu Country to visit their children. While speaking, Lu Miaoge led Lu Changxing to a mansion. Dad, you're back. Aunt, uncle. Several children were playing in the yard. Seeing Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge, they immediately called out, Qingsong Xiuer Changming. Lu Changxing looked at the children and nodded with a smile. Aside from his son Lu Qingsong, the others were direct descendants of the Lu family, so he recognized them all. Continue playing, your Aunt Miaoga and I have some matters to discuss, Lu Changxing said without lingering to chat with the children. Changxing, you're back. At that moment, Xianxia, clad in a moon-white dress, her features cool but her eyes gentle, came out of the hall with her daughter Lu Wangshu. She was very trusting of Lu Changxing. Thus, even though she missed him, she wasn't as emotionally stirred as Lu Miaoga upon seeing him return. Shiyu. Lu Changxing, seeing Xianxia, thought to himself that she must have indeed been with Lu Miaoga. Normally, Xianxia would certainly not be so intimate with Lu Miaoga, spending a long period together. However, with the bond of their daughter Lu Wangshu as a bridge, they naturally became much closer. As soon as I was done with everything I came right over, Lu Changxing said with a smile, advancing to visit his daughter. But after more than a year, his daughter Lu Wangshu no longer remembered him. After all, Lu Wangshu was only a little over a year old at the time. It's normal for children of that age to forget after not seeing someone for more than a year. After a brief chat, Xianxia expressed that she had something to take care of and took her leave. Lu Changxing knew that Xianxia was giving space to him and Lu Miaoga. Otherwise, why would she deal with matters while still holding her daughter Lu Wangshu? He didn't say much, just conveyed that he would find her later. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. In the room, Lu Changxing expressed his love to Lu Miaoga. Lu Miaoga also poured out her heart's longing. A series of fervent encounters followed, one after another. The passion and intimacy involved are indescribable to outsiders. Afterwards, Lu Miaoga lay languidly in Lu Changxing's arms, her eyes brimming with tender affection as she quietly watched him, her beautiful face, always wreathed in smiles. Still thinking about Foundation establishment? How come I feel like you're happier about my breakthrough to Foundation establishment than if you had done it yourself? Chapter 563. Husband is not gifted, it's the perfect foundation base. Lu Changxing looked at his wife and spoke in a gentle voice. This was the first time he had seen Lu Miaoga in such a state. Usually, Lu Miaoga was more mature and stable than he was, tolerating everything, taking care of him, gentle and intellectual and empathetic. But at this moment she was like a little girl who had just received candy. Every time she ate a piece of candy, a happy smile appeared on her face. Changxing, I'm naturally happy that you've made a breakthrough in the Foundation establishment, she said. Lu Miaoga's voice was gentle as water, and not only did her beautiful eyes contain the affection and reliance between husband and wife, but also the glow of motherhood and the adoration and admiration of a young girl. Such a demeanor would soften even the most hardened steel. Naturally, Lu Changxing felt the same. His heart softened as if it were melting. Sister Miaoga, I said that I have a surprise for you, he said. This is the surprise I've prepared for you. He took out a porcelain bottle from his storage bag and handed it to Lu Miaoga. What is this? She asked. Lu Miaoga smiled, took the porcelain bottle and opened it to look inside. The next moment, this? She looked at the elixir medicines inside the porcelain bottle, her beautiful pupils shrinking, her heart trembling violently. She then poured the medicines from the bottle into her palm. Changxing, is this a Foundation establishment elixir? She asked. Lu Miaoga looked at the crystal-clear, lychee-sized elixir in her hand, and suddenly looked up, her face full of disbelief. She hadn't expected that the surprise Lu Changxing said he had for her would be a Foundation establishment elixir. After all, such elixirs were extremely rare and hard to come by. They were supreme spirit pills for ordinary cultivators. With a Foundation establishment elixir, one's chances of Foundation establishment could increase by 30%. Moreover, if Foundation establishment failed, one would not suffer backlash. The Foundation establishment elixir that the Lu family had exchanged from Qingyun sect previously had come at the cost of 6 lives lost in battle, a result of Lu Yuanzhong's desperate fight at Blackwater Pool. Yet now, not only had Lu Changxing returned from his Foundation establishment, but he had also placed a rare and invaluable Foundation establishment elixir before her. Yes, this is the Foundation establishment elixir, he said with a smile, nodding his head. Immediately after, he took out 2 brocade boxes and a black porcelain bottle, and placed them on the table. This, looking at the Foundation establishment elixir in her hand, and then seeing the 3 items Lu Changxing had taken out, Lu Miaoga bit her lip lightly, her heart surmising what they might be. Sister Miaoga, won't you open them to take a look? Lu Changxing asked, smiling at her. Okay, seeing Lu Changxing looking at her with expectation, Lu Miaoga took a deep breath, smiling sweetly, a surge of tender emotion, and opened the first brocade box. Inside was a fist-sized, crimson fruit. The fruit was threaded with blood-red veins that flowed in a mysterious pattern. "This is the Foundation Establishment Spirit Object, the Blood Yang Fruit," she recognized immediately. As she suspected, these 3 items were 3 Foundation Establishment Spirit Objects. "Correct, this is indeed the Blood Yang Fruit," Lu Changxing confirmed with a nod, gesturing for her to continue. "This is the Xian Yin True Water, which aids the magic barrier of the 3 barriers of Foundation Establishment, especially suitable for water-based mana. This is the Heavenly Heart Lotus, which aids the divine sense barrier of the 3 barriers of Foundation Establishment." Lu Miaoga opened the brocade boxes and the porcelain bottle, her expression one of stunned disbelief, as if she were dreaming. She hadn't expected the surprise Lu Changxing had prepared for her to be so astonishing. In her view, it was already an incredible fortune and ability for Lu Changxing to have broken through to the Foundation Establishment stage on his own. But Lu Changxing had not only made his breakthrough. He had also prepared a Foundation Establishment elixir and 3 Foundation Establishment spirit objects for her. This. Lu Miaoga was completely still, momentarily at a loss for words, her heart trembling, a rush of indescribable emotions swelling within her. "Yes, in addition to this," Lu Changxing spoke again. "On my journey, I have fortunately obtained a cultivation technique that is very suitable for you, Sister Miaoga." After Lu Miaoga had opened all 3 brocade boxes, he took out a jade slip and handed it to her. "A cultivation technique that is very suitable for me?" she asked, surprised. She hadn't expected that, apart from preparing a Foundation Establishment elixir and 3 Foundation Establishment spirit objects for her, Lu Changxing would also have prepared a cultivation technique suited to her needs. Seeing Lu Changxing's tender gaze, she took the jade slip and inspected its contents with her mental spirit. Some time passed. Lu Miaoga returned to her senses. In her beautiful eyes, a myriad of questions, astonishment, and shock appeared. She did not understand how Lu Changxing had come to possess such a profound and mystical cultivation technique. Looking at Lu Changxing, she softly said with pursed lips, "Changxing, are you intending for me to switch to cultivating the Water of Virtue technique within this?" "Yes, this Water of Virtue technique is an orthodox level cultivation technique that leads directly to the Great Tao and can be cultivated up to the Divinity Transformation stage." Chapter 564, Lu Miaoga's Shock. _1 in the quaint, antique room. Lu Miaoga gazed at the vibrant and spirited Lu Changxing before her, completely stunned and speechless with surprise. Orthodox level cultivation techniques, aiming directly at the Great Tao, allowing one to cultivate up to the Divinity Transformation stage. A perfect foundation base. Whether it was orthodox level cultivation techniques or a perfect foundation base, both were incredibly far off for her. They were completely beyond her level of access. For the Lu family of Jianghu Mountain, even the cultivation techniques stored at the bottom of their treasure chests were only high grade. The Saturn Solar Sword technique she was currently cultivating was an exquisite level cultivation method, and it was Lu Changxing who had imparted it to her. But now Lu Changxing was telling her that this Water of Virtue technique was an orthodox level cultivation technique, one that could be cultivated up to the Divinity Transformation stage. Divinity Transformation stage, what a concept! In the entire Jianghu country cultivation realm, the most powerful individual was just a nascent soul true lord. And there was only one. The Divinity Transformation true monarch, merely existed in legends. And here and now, Lu Changxing was offering her an orthodox level cultivation technique that aimed directly at the Great Tao and reached the Divinity Transformation stage. This kind of technique, I fear, would only be possessed by the overlord level sects of Jianghu country, like the Heavenly Sword sect. Ordinary immortal sects and cultivation families couldn't possibly have such profound and mystical techniques. This was a true sect-defining cultivation technique. A technique that could anchor the foundation of an immortal sect. And there was also perfect foundation establishment. For Lu Miaoga, successfully breaking through to foundation establishment would be considered a success. Fractured Tao foundations, flawed Tao foundations, flawless Tao foundations, perfect foundation bases, these were just terms she had heard the elders in her family mention. She had never really considered what kind of Tao foundation she would be able to establish, because such things were not something cultivators or families at their level could hope for. But now, Lu Changxing was telling her that in his breakthrough to foundation establishment, he had condensed a perfect foundation base. Among the top foundation bases and foundation establishment, the legendary Perfect Foundation Base. Lu Miage's mind was somewhat dizzy. Her brain was thrown into chaos and blankness by Lu Changsheng's actions and words. Even though they had been together for many years and she knew that her husband had grand ambitions and aspirations, and anticipated that he would one day break through to foundation establishment, indeed have a successful breakthrough, she could never have imagined everything that was happening today. Foundation Establishment Elixir. 3 Foundation Establishment Spirit Objects. Orthodox Level Cultivation Technique. Perfect Foundation Base. This was simply too fantastical. Each aspect brought her an indescribable shock. Dreams couldn't even dare to go this far. Sister Miaoga? Lu Changxing looked at the stunned Lu Miaoga in front of him and waved his hand in front of her eyes. Changxing, am I dreaming? The once composed and gentle face of Lu Miaoga lost its usual steadiness, resembling a confused young girl, her expression somewhat dazed as she spoke softly. At this moment she couldn't quite discern if this was reality or just a dream. Or perhaps she had deviated in her cultivation and was hallucinating. Of course you're not dreaming. Lu Changxing looked at Lu Miaoga with a smile, pinched her slightly flushed and smooth cheek. He had anticipated that giving the cultivation technique, Foundation Establishment Elixir and Foundation Establishment Spirit Objects to Lu Miaoga would certainly surprise and amaze her. But he didn't expect Lu Miaoga to be struck dumb, her expression dazed and bewildered. It made sense after all. Even though Lu Miaoga always appeared mature and sensible in front of him, her knowledge and vision of the cultivation world were still too limited. Orthodox level cultivation techniques and a perfect foundation base indeed would be shocking for Lu Miaoga. Through chatting with Xianxia, Lu Changxing knew that even within a sect like the Qingyun sect, the number of those who could condense a perfect foundation base was few and far between. As for orthodox level cultivation techniques, they were also considered sect-defining techniques within the Qingyun sect. Only true disciples had the opportunity to comprehend them. Even the supreme forgetful love technique that Xianxia was cultivating was an orthodox level cultivation technique. But that was obtained by her mentor Yun Wanshang from some secret realm. To think that I am actually not dreaming all this, the touch on her cheek and the handsome face before her eyes told Lu Miaoga that she was not dreaming. But she still felt somewhat dazed, finding it hard to believe. Sister Miaoga, you're not dreaming, all of this is real. Lu Changxing looked at his still somewhat dazed wife and thought that his surprise had turned into a scare for Lu Miaoga. Then he leaned in close, bowed his head, and gently captured the sweet lips of his wife, lightly savoring the sweetness. The familiar warmth and softness embraced her, causing Lu Miage's heart to flutter. She hadn't expected that Lu Changxing had already comprehended this technique. Could it be that Changxing knew it would be difficult for me to comprehend this technique, so he directly understood its mysteries? Lu Miage's heart fluttered and a warmth flowed through her. The cultivation technique, the foundation establishment elixir, the 3 foundation establishment spiritual objects had already made her too moved for words. And now Lu Changxing, worried that she couldn't comprehend and learn the technique, had spent time and comprehended it early. It was like feeding her the food right to her mouth. Changxing, why are you so good to me? Lu Miaoga raised her head slightly, looking at Lu Changxing with tender and watery eyes. You are my wife. If I don't treat you well, who should I treat well? Didn't we agree when we got married to progress hand in hand in the future? Lu Changxing said gently. Lu Miage's eyes slightly reddened, and she hummed softly in response. Then she quietly nestled in the arms of her own husband. After we go back, Sister Miaoga, you can start to comprehend this cultivation technique. The technique I'm cultivating is a continuation of the Saturn Solar Sword technique that you are currently cultivating. As long as I use the Tai Seed Way art to plant the Tai Dao seed for you, when you switch to cultivating this Water of Virtue technique, there won't be much loss to your cultivation base. Once your cultivation base is securely established, you can then prepare for the foundation establishment. With the foundation establishment elixir and the foundation establishment spiritual objects, breaking through to foundation establishment will be a breeze for you, Sister Miaoga. Who knows, you might even form a perfect foundation base. Lu Changxing held his wife close, his voice gentle as he slowly spoke. He believed that with his Tai Dao seed, provided Lu Miaoga successfully cultivated the Water of Virtue technique, there was a high probability she could form a perfect foundation base without surprise. However, Exactly how it would turn out depended on Lu Miage's own state. After all, simply cultivating such a technique didn't guarantee a perfect foundation establishment. It still depended on one's understanding of the technique, the mental state and other conditions at the time. Lu Miaoge softly agreed, listening to Lu Changsheng's explanation. While I was comprehending this technique, I noticed that each level of this water of virtue technique has its own characteristics. The first level allows one to condense mana into Tai true water. This water has the effect of cleansing and nourishing the flesh, nurturing the meridians, healing internal injuries and condensing mana. Chapter 566, Lu Miage's shock. This kind of matter, in his opinion, is better said sooner rather than later. Otherwise, saying it after returning home and seeing Ling Zixiao would seem to lack sincerity. Ling Zixiao. Dragon roar physique. Lu Miaoge heard these words and nodded gently. She knew that this aspect of her husband could not be changed. It was also the only flaw of her husband. However, she had to admit that her husband really had great charm with women. This trip outside, he actually brought back a foundation establishment female cultivator. She remembered that back when the Lu family and the Qin family had their great battle, there was a foundation establishment female cultivator who had expressed her feelings for her husband. Thinking about this, Lu Miaoge suddenly felt somewhat surprised. Based on her husband's personality, how could he not accept the affection of such a foundation establishment great cultivator? Even if he wouldn't bring her home, he couldn't possibly not want to see her for so many years, could he? Changxing, I remember during the battle at Red Leaf Valley, there was a girl named Xiao Chan. Immediately Lu Miaoge spoke up, voicing her confusion. Xiao Chan? The girl? Lu Changxing paused when he heard Lu Miaoge suddenly bring up Meng Xiaochan. He couldn't help thinking about Meng Xiaochan and Nangong Meili, wondering what their situation was now. Whether they were still healing at the spiritual pool or had started returning to Jin Kingdom. Through the system panel in the offspring section, seeing that his children were still there, he knew that Nangong Meili was currently safe. This Xiaochan girl had to leave because of some matters. What happened? Lu Changxing, smelling the faint fragrance of Lu Miage's hair and piling up a snowman with his hands, spoke softly. Nothing, I just suddenly thought of it. After all, that Xiaochan girl was a foundation establishment great cultivator back then. But for so many years I haven't seen her, nor have you ever mentioned her, Changxing. Lu Miaoge sensed that her husband had a slight emotional fluctuation just now. She knew that something must have happened between him and this Xiaochan girl. She had some matters and left Jiang country. The foundation establishment elixir for my breakthrough was given by Xiaochan, Lu Changxing said. He preemptively gave Lu Miaoge a heads up about Meng Xiaochan, to facilitate bringing her home in the future. Lu Miaoge hearing this was somewhat surprised. She had not expected Lu Changxing's foundation establishment elixir to be a gift from Meng Xiaochan. This left her momentarily at a loss for words. In her heart, she suddenly felt that, without realizing it, she had fallen behind Lu Changxing's pace. Now, Lu Changxing had not only broken through foundation establishment but also condensed a perfect foundation base. There was Meng Xiaochan, capable of gifting him a foundation establishment elixir. There was Xianxia, a disciple of the Immortal sects, lofty and high above. Returning from this trip, he even formed a Dao companion relationship with a foundation establishment great cultivator. And herself, relying on Lu Changxing's help, could only break through foundation establishment. Sister Miaoge, don't overthink it, you all are my only ones. Lu Changxing immediately noticed that she must be overthinking and embraced her, speaking warmly. MHM. Hearing this, Lu Miaoge responded softly. After being sweet in the room for a while, they got up to tidy up their clothes. There were children in the courtyard, so it wouldn't be proper for them to continue being affectionate for too long. Moreover, Lu Changxing still had to visit Xianxia. By the way, Sister Miaoge, I also prepared a gift for you. After getting dressed, Lu Changxing remembered the spiritual artifact River Torrent crossbow he had bid for Lu Miaoge at the Jiuxiao Immortal City. This spiritual artifact is called River Torrent crossbow. It has the effects of attacking the enemy, breaking mana, and breaking seals. It can be inlaid with spirit stones and can be activated without consuming mana. Even after Sister Miaoge you break through foundation establishment, you can consume mana to activate it, and I think it suits you well. Lu Changxing took out the crossbow and began introducing it to Lu Miaoge. River Torrent crossbow. Lu Miaoge, listening to Lu Changsheng's introduction and looking at the azure crossbow with flowing water patterns in front of her, knew from the introduction how precious this crossbow was, worth at least a few thousand spirit stones. Changsheng, thank you, I really like it. Lu Miaoge said softly. As long as you like it. Lu Changsheng spoke warmly, having Lu Miaoge accept everything. Lu Miaoge, holding the river torrent crossbow, looking at the Foundation Establishment elixir and Foundation Establishment spiritual objects in front of her, still felt somewhat dreamy, with an unreal sensation. The Foundation Establishment elixir and Foundation Establishment spiritual objects that countless people longed for were laid out in front of her so effortlessly, truly making her feel as if she was dreaming. What, still feeling like you're dreaming? Lu Changsheng, seeing Lu Miaoge looking this way, wrapped an arm around his wife's waist, speaking warmly. Yes, a little, Lu Miaoge replied softly. This is not a dream. Lu Changsheng chuckled, pinched her cheek gently, and then took her fair hand as they walked out of the room into the courtyard. In the yard, Lu Changsheng briefly spoke to his son Lu Qingsong, and the other Lu family children, explaining that he had come to take them home. Going home. Upon hearing this, they were somewhat surprised. Previously, Lu Miaoge had told them they would be staying here for a while. What, you don't want to leave now that you're here? When Lu Changsheng heard this, he smiled and said, No, Aunt had said we would stay for some time, and she even arranged a school for us, telling us to attend classes in a few days. One of the youths, named Lu Changming, spoke up. There's been a change of plans, you kids can enjoy yourselves in the marketplace for the next few days, and in a few days we'll head home. Lu Changsheng said. After chatting with the children for a while, Lu Changsheng left the courtyard to find Xianxia. Chapter 567. The Lu Family Generation's Hope for the Enlightenment Gu. _1 In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. During these few days, Lu Changsheng spent most of his time with Xianxia, sharing mutual yearnings. In the process he inquired about the Qingyun sect token. Xianxia indicated that she wasn't sure about the specifics of the favor this token represented. But just asking for the privilege of purchasing a spiritual vein dojo should be no large issue. After all, this was about saving a true disciple of the Qingyun sect. As for Lu Changsheng's inquiry about the post-Blackwater Pool battle and other family forces selling spiritual lands, Xianxia was unclear. Because normally, as long as the families within its jurisdiction did not collude with the demon path and made their tributes on time, the Qingyun sect wouldn't interfere with the affairs of these families. They also wouldn't bother about these trivial matters. However, Xianxia suggested that purchasing spiritual lands sold by other families would be ideal. Most of the spiritual vein dojos bought from the Qingyun sect were rather rudimentary. If one intended to establish a family, it would require gradual development from scratch, consuming plenty of time and financial resources. Purchasing spiritual lands sold by other families could save all that effort. In addition, these family forces' spiritual lands usually had stable outputs, incomes, and channels. Buying these spiritual lands would result in acquiring all these resources, saving a lot of trouble. After listening to Xiaoxia's advice, Lu Changsheng also planned to follow the original strategy and first survey the surrounding suitable spiritual lands. If he could find the right spiritual land, that would be best. If there were no suitable spiritual lands, then he would use the Qingyun sect token to exchange for the privilege to purchase a spirit vein. Meanwhile, Xiaoxia handed over the third-rank talisman-making materials she had accumulated over the past year to Lu Changsheng. The materials were not plentiful, just over a dozen sets and some raw materials. In return, Lu Changsheng gave her 10 second-rank supreme talismans that he had drawn, along with the talisman nurturing method. It wasn't that he was reluctant to give away third-rank talismans. He simply hadn't had the time to draw third-rank talismans due to his busyness. However, these second-rank supreme talismans were made using third-rank materials. They could be nurtured with the talisman nurturing method and elevated to third rank. After spending time with Xiaoxia, Lu Changsheng didn't linger for long. With Lu Miaoge and a few children in tow, he set off for Qingzhou Mountain. Since Xiaoxia was not in a position to look after the children for long periods, her daughter Lu Wangshu was naturally taken back by Lu Changsheng. After a few days of interaction, his daughter had grown somewhat closer to him. Sister Miaoge, I'm going to Rui Prefecture. Will you come with me or head back to Qingzhou Mountain first? On the spirit boat, Lu Changsheng, holding his daughter Lu Wangshu, looked at Lu Miaoge and spoke. During this trip home, after spending time with his wives and concubines, He made straight for the Green River Marketplace. He hadn't visited Rui Prefecture yet. Having not been there for so long, it was certainly time to check in. Moreover, he wanted to see if Lu Pingan had returned. To meet his own family's eldest grandchild. "I'll come with you," Lu Miaoga, hearing this, said softly. She knew that Lu Changxing had placed all his wives, children without spiritual roots, in Rui Prefecture. Since Lu Changxing was going to visit these wives and children, she, as his wife, naturally accompanied him to visit them. "Good," Lu Changxing nodded, then steered the spirit boat towards Rui Prefecture. Qingyun sect. Within a cave dwelling. Lu Changxing. Lady Meng frowned slightly as she looked at the information in her hand. Ever since her grandson Meng Yibai was killed, whenever she saw the disappointing younger generation of her family, she would think of her grandson and desire vengeance for him. But the only clue to that vengeance lay with Xianxia. Naturally, she dared not confront Xianxia. So when Xianxia was assigned to Green River Marketplace as the record chief, she had people observe in secret, hoping to learn if Xianxia had any close interactions with anyone during that time. To see if there could be any new discoveries. Previously, she received a message that a Foundation establishment cultivator named Loose Cultivator Han Li had come into contact with Xianxia, entering her field of vision. But after investigating, she found no further information about this man. Then not long ago she received another message. A girl from a minor family seemed very close to Xianxia, allowing her child to call Xianxia mother. This surprised her greatly. Xianxia was typically aloof, keeping everyone at arm's length. Yet, she was very close to a girl from a small family and even allowed the girl's child to call her mother. Today, after further investigation, she received another piece of information. The husband of this girl from the minor family, a man named Lu Changxing, was an old acquaintance of Xianxia. He had also come to Green River Marketplace in recent days and seemed quite close to Xianxia. This Lu Changxing is merely the son-in-law of a small family, having only recently achieved Foundation establishment. There's no way he could have killed Yibai. It seems he is just an old acquaintance of Xianxia, having formed some connection years ago, Lady Meng murmured to herself, setting the message aside. The person who killed her grandson Meng Yibai had reached Foundation establishment alongside Xianxia. Chapter 568. The Lu Family Generations Hope for the Enlightenment Gu. The voice was not angry but joyously bellowing. He, as expected of the Nine Netherhound to be able to sense the presence so easily, Lu Changxing watched this scene with a light laugh. He then raised his hand and removed the invisibility effect from the spirit boat. As the spirit boat became visible, Lu Pingan immediately saw, aboard the airborne spirit boat, Lu Changxing in a cyan robe, looking handsome and elegant with a transcendent aura, and Lu Miaoga, with her lovely face, statuesque figure and immortal-like robe fluttering. "Dad. Auntie." Lu Pingan called out respectfully. Before he hadn't felt it as strongly. This trip outside had taken him and Qin Yi to the lower levels of the cultivation world, and there he had clearly seen that the cultivation world was nothing like his childhood memories. Throughout the entire cultivation world, he saw only a few who possessed the celestial aura like his father. Especially now, as his father and aunt stood on the spirit boat looking like a pair of divine beings shrouded in a celestial mist, he felt a touch of envy deep in his eyes. How long have you been back?" Lu Changxing landed the spirit boat and smiled at his eldest son before him. He reached out to pat the Nine Netherhound that had come up to him. The Nine Netherhound was now 2 meters tall. Its fur was dark and glossy, its red eyes and its crisscrossed fangs outright intimidating to behold. 4 months? Lu Pingan replied respectfully. "Pingan is all grown up now," Lu Miaoga said with a gentle smile as she looked at Lu Pingan. She had only seen him a few times when Lu Pingan was younger. When she had married Lu Changxing, Lu Pingan and the others had already been sent to Rui Prefecture. Immediately after, she turned to Lu Qingsong and the other Lu family disciples, saying, "This is your brother Pingan." "Big brother. Brother Pingan." Lu Qingsong and a few children called out. They were young and had not met Lu Pingan before. But they knew that the Lu Pingan before them was Lu Changxing's eldest son. No need to be courteous. Lu Pingan grinned at everyone. He could tell that these finely dressed young men and women were all exceptional. They likely weren't without spiritual roots, sent here by his father for care. Among them, besides the young man who called him Big Brother, and bore a resemblance to his father and Aunt Miaoga, the others probably weren't his father's children. "Let's go and talk inside," Lu Changxing patted his son's shoulder, noting the growth his son had shown during his time outside. He then led Lu Miaoga and the others to the main hall. "My lord husband. Dad father." When Lu Lanshu and the other wives and children heard of Lu Changsheng's return, they rushed to greet him, creating a lively atmosphere at home. "Dad." Soon after, a woman in her late teens holding a baby approached and called out to Lu Changxing. "Shuer." Lu Changxing looked at his daughter-in-law Li Shuer, with a nod and a smile, knowing that the baby in her arms was the first grandchild of the Lu family. "Is Wuyu not home?" Lu Changxing looked around and noticed that his son Lu Wuyu wasn't present. He had primarily come to see how his sons Lu Pingan, Lu Wuyu, and Lu Chuanjin were doing. "My husband is mostly in Luan County these days. I have already sent someone to inform him to come back," Li Shuer immediately responded. "No problem, I was just asking." Lu Changxing waved his hand, aware that this son was serving as a county magistrate. He turned to the child in Li Shuer's arms and asked, "Has this child been named?" The child had only been born 2 months before and still had somewhat wrinkled skin. Through the system he knew the child did not have spiritual roots. This was normal. Neither Lu Wuyu nor Li Shuer had spiritual roots. The chances were high that their child wouldn't either. "My husband said to wait for Dad's return before naming the child," Li Shuer said respectfully, handing the baby to Lu Changxing. "I'll name him." Lu Changxing took the child, considering what name to give this first grandchild of the Lu family. He had ideas for the third generation, wanting to create a generation name sequence. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing summoned a brush and a scroll with a gesture of his hand. "Mysterious prime eternal, true everlasting, guarding virtue and wisdom, hopes spread through jade void, worldly grandeur and honor, profound subtlety, boundless through ages, soaring to heavens, transcendence in the universe." And then, with one hand holding the child and the other waving the brush, Lu Changxing began to inscribe the generational sequence for the Lu family. As the Lu family's first grandchild, let's begin with the mysterious generation. "He shall be named Xianming," Lu Changxing declared, giving the child his name. He then took out a warm jade and a spiritual pattern carving knife from his storage bag and engraved the name Xianming onto it. Being the family's first grandchild, naturally, he deserved a special token. "Xianming, Xianming, this is your name, given to you by your grandfather," Li Shuer said joyously to the child upon hearing this. She and Lu Wuyu had not named the child, in part out of respect for Lu Changxing. They also hoped Lu Changxing would leave a stronger impression on their first grandchild, giving the child more affection in the future. Seeing that Lu Changxing not only provided a name but also a treasured jade, she was immediately overjoyed. The other wives and children present showed signs of envy at this scene. After naming the child, Lu Changxing chatted casually with his wives and children, learning about the family's affairs from the past year. Now Lu Wuyu was married and had started a family. Lu Lanshu also had a good sense of the other children's circumstances, having arranged matches for them. It was just up to Lu Changxing, the head of the family, to give his approval. "Alright, as long as the children are willing and think it's appropriate, that's fine." Lu Changxing looked at his son and shook his head slightly. Although the years of experience had broadened his horizons, his nature remained somewhat naive. But one can't just change their personality overnight. Looking at Lu Pingan, he said, "Do you want to cultivate?" Since his son still harbored thoughts of cultivation, he would then give the hope gu to Lu Pingan. It would be pointless to keep it otherwise. As for how to explain it to others, he had already thought it through. When the Lu family tested Lu Pingan for a spiritual root initially, they didn't detect anything. Because he thought carefully, the natural treasures that could give birth to a spiritual root were exceedingly rare, and ordinary people would not consider this possibility at all. Furthermore, it was true that in the cultivation world, there are cases where the spiritual root cannot be detected until adulthood. So now that Lu Pingan has been detected to have a spiritual root, it is acceptable. Lu Pingan was startled by this news and did not understand. "Do you want to cultivate or not? Tell me the truth." Lu Changxing continued to ask. "Yes." Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan looked into his father's eyes, pursed his lips and said in a deep voice, "Why do you want to cultivate?" Lu Changxing tapped his fingers lightly on the armrest and asked, "Do you want to cultivate and then pursue that young girl?" "No, I haven't." Lu Pingan immediately shook his head, feeling somewhat embarrassed. But looking into his father's eyes, he took a deep breath and said resolutely, I just want to cultivate to become a cultivator like you. Lu Changxing looked into his son's eyes upon hearing this. He still remembered 15 years ago the 6-year-old Lu Pinggan, his eyes brimming with hope as he looked at him. Dad, does not having a spiritual root mean that one cannot become a cultivator? I also want to become a cultivator like you. He still remembered that sentence. But at that time he could only respond without words. Step forward. Lu Changxing nodded his head. In his palm a thumb-sized hope goo, like a ball of light, appeared. The hope goo could open the minds of mortals, giving birth to a spiritual root. As for the quality of the born spiritual root, it varied from person to person. Lu Pinggan, upon hearing this, was somewhat puzzled. But still he obediently stepped forward, standing in front of his father. Whoosh! In an instant the ball of light in Lu Changxing's hand shot out like a beam, swiftly entering Lu Pinggan's body. Boom! The moment the ball of light entered his body, Lu Pinggan felt as if he heard a thunderous sound. An awe-inspiring mystery surged throughout his body. As an innate martial artist, an innate grandmaster, his muscles tensed, his hair stood on end, and his mental spirit was pulled taut like a bowstring at this moment. Had it not been for the fact that it was his father in front of him, such an action would have instinctively made him strike out. But the next moment he saw endless light spreading within his body. This light made his body heavy as if bearing thousands of pounds, with an indescribable pressure. Hold on. Just then a voice rang out in his mind. It was the voice of his father Lu Changxing. Although Lu Pinggan did not understand what was happening. But upon hearing his father's words, he mustered all his strength and clenched his teeth to endure. Allowing the light to spread within his body, he felt heavier and heavier as his insides roared, and his bones seemed to also creak and groan. Hold on. Lu Changxing said in a grave tone. The child's spiritual root talent would be added to his own. Therefore he could clearly feel the hope goo opening Lu Pinggan's mind. The longer Lu Pinggan held on, the higher the quality of the spiritual root would be after the opening. But according to the spiritual root enhancement transmitted, the enhancement of the spiritual root that the hope goo could provide was indeed limited and the effect very poor. According to the current enhancement being transmitted from Lu Pinggan, he only had a lower grade spiritual root. Chapter 570. The Flame of Hope, Current Situation of Zhao Qingqing. Understood? Lu Pinggan felt as if Tai Mountain was pressing down on him, his heart beating thump, thump, thump rapidly, accompanied by a sense of suffocation. Moreover, the light within his body surged like a river, pervaded by an indescribable willpower that nearly crushed him to his knees. But his father's words, hold on, had him gritting his teeth and persevering. Because from his childhood to now, his father had never spoken to him in such a serious tone. This was the first time his father had spoken to him with such earnestness, encouraging him to hold on. Although his personality was straightforward, he wasn't foolish. He knew that if his father was bringing this up today, there must be a profound significance. This was a trial from his father. Therefore he had to hold on and not let his father down. It seems at most a 6th grade spiritual root. Lu Changxing watched as the light inside his son Lu Pinggan grew brighter and brighter, accompanied by a profound and mysterious sensation. He exhaled softly. He could tell that Lu Pinggan was nearly at his limit. For a mortal to activate the spiritual root, a 6th grade spiritual root is already quite good. Lu Changxing muttered to himself. He knew that normally activating the spiritual root with the hope goo would result in a lower grade spiritual root. For Lu Pinggan to have a 6th grade spiritual root was already commendable. Moreover, through the system, he knew that the true power of the hope goo wasn't just to open mortals to spiritual roots. But rather, as long as the host harbors hope, miracles can happen. As long as the fire of hope in the host's heart doesn't die out, the hope goo can burst with power, stimulate potential and fight for a glimmer of hope. No matter whether facing a hopeless situation, powerful enemies, or breaking through realms, it can have a certain effect. Otherwise, a sky spirit goo that can only open mortals to spiritual roots would seem quite ordinary. Lu Pinggan clenched his fists tightly, his cheeks and arms showing bulging veins like little snakes. As the spiritual root evolved from lower grade to middle grade, the light inside his body expanded greatly, like a blazing sun, almost bursting forth from his body. His bones crackled. It seemed as though his meridians and flesh were about to be destroyed, causing him to suffocate and making it extremely painful to breathe. It seemed as if things continued like this, he would die. At the same time, a gentle breeze seemed to caress his body and mind, making him feel weary in body and mind, wanting to let go, to give up. Lu Pingan. A girl in black appeared in his mind, shouting loudly at him. It seemed as if she was telling him to give up, to stop enduring the fear of death, the instinct to slack off. Lu Changxing stood up, patted his son's broad shoulders and said, "Yes, father, I understand." Lu Pingan replied, pressing his lips together and speaking in a deep voice. Although he didn't know much about cultivation, he was aware of some things. For someone to be given a spiritual root, it was an act against the natural order. Today, no matter what, he possessed a spiritual root, although it hadn't been detected before. Well, having a spiritual root of the same element is not bad. Lu Changxing placed his hand on Lu Pingan's shoulder, his divine sense and mana moving through his body to examine the condition of his spiritual root. She knew Lu Miaoga was the eldest young miss of the Lu family and held a special status. If her own son could gain favor from several of the family's primary wives, his life on Jianghu mountain would be better. "Mother, I understand, don't worry," Lu Pingan replied earnestly. "You're grown up now, mother won't say anything more." Lu Lanshu looked at her son with a beaming smile, her heart filled with joy. She knew that Lu Changxing had always been fond of her son. Now that he had a spiritual root, he would surely not suffer on Jianghu mountain. Moments later, she hesitantly asked Lu Changxing, "Husband, since Pingan has a spiritual root, could Ningjing, Anning, Anren, do they also have spiritual roots?" These were all her children. She had given birth to 6 children for Lu Changxing. But none of these 6 children had a spiritual root. "Later, have all the children gather in the backyard and he'll check them over again," Lu Changxing said after a moment of contemplation. The matter of Lu Pingan having a spiritual root would definitely not stay hidden. He planned to take Lu Pingan back to Jianghu mountain, and telling Lu Lanshu was a sign he hadn't wished to conceal it. With that in mind, it was best to recheck all the children in the family. Yet thinking of these children, he sighed softly, knowing they would have expectations but would ultimately be disappointed. "You've worked hard, husband," Lu Lanshu immediately said, hastily going to spread the news. Now that he was back in Rui Prefecture, Lu Changxing naturally also took the opportunity to meet with Hong Yi and inquire about the situation of his son Lu Chuanjin. However, the Rui Marquis told Lu Changxing that Hong Yi and Lu Chuanjin had gone out on a mission, and he would immediately have someone send a message to Hong Yi. The next day, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga in the Lu family's backyard rechecked the spiritual roots of all the children. But after the examination, no one else was found to have a spiritual root. This led to disappointment among those children and several wives. Seeing this scene, Lu Pingan pursed his lips and felt a heaviness in his heart. He was almost certain that his having a spiritual root was the doing of his father, Lu Changxing. Thinking of his father's favoritism towards him, he felt an increased sense of heavy responsibility. Lu Changxing stayed in Rui Prefecture for 5 days. Today, Hong Yi and Lu Chuanjin arrived at the Lu residence, travel-worn. "Congratulations to Lu Elder for your breakthrough in foundation establishment." Son pays respects to father, congratulating father on the breakthrough in foundation establishment. Upon arriving at the Lu residence, the two of them immediately bowed to Lu Changxing. "Haha, brother Hong, we've known each other for so many years, there's no need for such formality." Upon hearing Hong Yi's term of address, Lu Changxing knew had received news of his own breakthrough in foundation establishment. After all, the Red Leaf Valley Market was near Jianghu Mountain, and the Rui Marquis mansion had shops there. Upon receiving such news, it would naturally be relayed back promptly. "It was I who was too formal, please don't take offense, brother Lu," Hong Yi said with a smile upon hearing this response, but his demeanor remained somewhat restrained and full of respect and awe. After all, this was a foundation establishment great cultivator. He had never expected that the poor farmer's son he once looked down upon would have achieved foundation establishment 20-something years later. Once upon a time, the two of them, among 6 others, went to Qingyun sect for the Immortal sect's examination. 3 were admitted to Qingyun sect and 3 were not chosen. Lu Changxing had the poorest spiritual root talent among all. Yet now, this person with the poorest spiritual root had achieved foundation establishment, which truly made him reflect on the unpredictability of the world. His mother worries about him every day, and I was thinking that if he doesn't adapt, he should come back earlier to manage the business in the marketplace. Lu Changxing nodded slightly and said aloud. He had thought that if his son, Lu Chuanjin, had only shown mediocre performance, there would be no need to keep fighting and killing on this front. He would bring him back to Jianghu Mountain and go to Red Leaf Valley Market to be responsible for some affairs. However, since his son indeed had the talent, he would leave him with Hong Yi to continue his experience. Rest assured, Brother Lu, I will certainly take good care of Chuanjin. Hong Yi raised his glass and spoke respectfully. He had initially wanted to marry his daughter, who had a spiritual root, to Lu Chuanjin. But now that Lu Changxing had made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, he felt a bit embarrassed to bring up the subject. In his heart, he planned that when the time was right, he would have his daughter make an effort to get Lu Chuanjin to bring up the matter with his father. He'll have to trouble you then, Brother Hong? Lu Changxing nodded, clinked glasses in return, and also inquired about Hong Yi's current situation. Since the other party was handling all sorts of miscellaneous affairs for him, it was only proper to reciprocate, and naturally he would also help in resolving some matters in return. In this manner, as the two of them talked on, they discussed Li Feiyu, Han Lin, Zhao Qingqing and Xianxia. Li Feiyu had gone to Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and apart from writing 2 letters over the years, there hadn't been much contact. Apart from Xianxia, Lu Changxing also had not been in touch with Han Lin and Zhao Qingqing. However, Hong Yi had kept in touch with both Han Lin and Zhao Qingqing and even conducted quite a bit of business with them. For instance, when they needed to collect some materials or information within the sect, they could leave it to Hong Yi to take care of. If Hong Yi had any needs, he would also write to the two, as it was a mutually beneficial arrangement. In the midst of the conversation, Hong Yi relayed the latest news about the two to Lu Changxing. Han Lin had a small talent in artifact refining and was now a superior artifact refiner at the 8th level energy refinement. Zhao Qingqing had already reached the 9th level energy refinement and was preparing for foundation establishment. It seems that in a few years, Taoist Zhao will also be able to break through foundation establishment, Lu Changxing said with a smile. She remembered that Zhao Qingqing possessed a Veg body and was taken as a disciple by an outer sect elder of Qingyun sect. Maybe she could exchange for a foundation establishment elixir to break through foundation establishment. It's not that simple. Years ago, Taoist Zhao asked me to help keep an eye out for news about foundation establishment spirit objects. It did not show much closeness to him. All right, I'll have a word with it, Lu Changxing said. He took Lu Chuanjin to meet the 9 Netherhound, asking it to heed Lu Quanzhen's words from time to time. He also gave Lu Chuanjin a spiritual pet bag and 3 bottles of pet nourishing pills to tend to the 9 Netherhound and keep it inside the spiritual pet bag while traveling. Thank you, Father. Lu Chuanjin bowed and thanked. After settling all the family matters, Lu Changxing boarded the spirit boat with Lu Miaoge, Lu Pinggan, and a few other children, returning to Jianghu Mountain. Chapter 573, Family Reputation and Spiritual Land Inspection, 2-in-1 1500 monthly tickets additional update, _1 3 days later. A spirit boat descended outside Jianghu Mountain. Lu Pinggan looked at the Jianghu Mountain before him, feeling as if it were a lifetime ago. He still remembered, at the age of 8, being sent by his father Lu Changxing to Rui Prefecture. Great Elder Miaoge, you have returned? The clan elder guarding the mountain gate saw Lu Changxing and saluted with cupped hands. He hurriedly opened the mountain gate grand formation and let Lu Changxing and the others enter. Elder Yun. Lu Changxing smiled at this elder of the Lu family, walking through the mountain gate. He did not behave any differently due to the elevation in his status and identity. Lu Changxing saw that Lu Miaoge looked a bit astonished and guessed that she was puzzled about how he became the great elder. He spoke up to explain. The family said that since I have now made a breakthrough to foundation establishment, I should naturally become an elder ancestor for the family. But I found it awkward, so I declined, and as a result, the family promoted me from the 9th elder to the great elder. Lu Changxing spoke softly. Changxing, now that you have broken through to foundation establishment according to family rules, you naturally become an elder ancestor, and there is nothing wrong with that. Lu Miaoge said softly upon hearing this. In her view, such a matter was entirely normal and to be expected. Not just in the Lu family but throughout the entire cultivation world this was the case. Because for cultivators each major realm was like a chasm separating heaven and earth. Foundation establishment cultivators are more noble than energy refining cultivators. There is an essential difference in the quality of life between the two. Just as mortals become elevated immediately upon becoming cultivators, and energy refining cultivators, as long as they break through to foundation establishment, would see their lifespan, strength, identity, and status rise exponentially. This is also why countless energy refining cultivators, despite knowing the difficulty of foundation establishment as elusive, still chase after this faint hope desperately, dedicating their entire lives. Dad, you've become a foundation-building great cultivator? Lu Qingsong, standing nearby, heard the conversation and instantly widened his eyes, looking at his father in amazement. They had been around Lu Changxing for so long without knowing about their father's breakthrough to foundation establishment. Lu Pinggan was also surprised. He hadn't expected that his father was actually a foundation-building great cultivator. He might not be a cultivator himself, but he knew that within the cultivation world, foundation-building great cultivators were esteemed beings. And his father, unconsciously, had become a foundation-building great cultivator? This inspired a sense of admiration in him. Admiration for his father who rose from humble beginnings and insignificant origins. And now, to become an esteemed foundation-building great cultivator within the cultivation world. Yes. Lu Changxing smiled and nodded. Then, patting Lu Qingsong on the head, he said, "About your brother's matter, you should take the time to comfort and cajole your mother, understand?" On this trip home, he naturally had to discuss Lu Qingshan's circumstances with his wife Lu Miaohuan. Lu Miaohuan was not as strong as Lu Miaoga. Knowing that her son was taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal, even though she would certainly be thrilled and proud of her son, she would also definitely feel sad and distressed. "I understand, Dad." Lu Qingsong, hearing this, nodded somewhat understandingly yet somewhat not. He thought that his brother being taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal should be a good thing, so why comfort their mother? In the midst of speaking, they arrived home. Husband, sister Miaoga. The house became lively immediately upon hearing that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga had returned. "Oh, Pinggan is here too." Chu Jinjin spoke upon seeing Lu Pinggan. She had looked after Lu Pinggan when he was young and had visited the mortal world on several occasions, so she recognized him. "Yes, I found during this trip that Pinggan actually possesses a spiritual root, so I brought him over." Lu Changxing smiled at Chu Jinjin. "So it's Pinggan. So many years have passed and I hardly recognized you." Lu Miaoyan also saw Lu Pinggan and cheerfully spoke. "I have seen Aunt." Lu Pinggan, seeing the several aunts before him, respectfully saluted, slightly constrained. "Husband, sister, where are Qingshan and Qingzhu?" At this moment, the tall and graceful second miss, dressed in a golden luxurious skirt, approached. She saw Lu Changxing, Lu Miaoga, Lu Qingsong and Lu Wangshu, but not Lu Qingshan and Lu Qingzhu. Looking around with her beautiful eyes, she asked, "Huan, on this trip I took Qingshan and the others to Green River Marketplace, and along the way, Lu Miaoga, with a grace and gentleness like flowing water, stepped forward and began to recount to her sister with a hint of guilt on her face. Although it was a chance occurrence, and a great one at that, Lu Qingshan had been taken away by a nascent soul immortal to become his disciple without having the chance to say goodbye to his mother, Lu Miaohuan. Moreover, with Lu Changxing bringing out orthodox-level cultivation techniques, foundation establishment elixirs and foundation establishment spirit objects, she faintly felt the children being by their side may not be much worse off than becoming disciples of a nascent soul immortal. Qingshan has a Gingjin body constitution and was noticed by the nascent soul immortal of Yu country's immortal sects, who took him as a disciple. And Qingshan requested the immortal to take Qingzhu as a disciple as well. Lu Miaohuan, hearing this, was taken aback. Her delicate and stunning face revealed a look of astonishment. She never imagined that her own son possessed a 1-in-a-million spiritual body, and had captured the attention of a nascent soul immortal, who took him as a disciple to an immortal sect for cultivation. This left her feeling excited and thrilled. But at the next moment, realizing her son was only 10 years old, and considering his normally mischievous nature, she couldn't help but worry, thinking about him being taken to a far-off immortal sect in Yu country. "Congratulations, Sister Huan. Qingshan has been accepted as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal." "Congratulations, Sister Miaoga, little Zhu has been taken in by the nascent soul immortal." "I always said that Qingshan was no ordinary child since his youth, and I never expected he actually has a spiritual body. It's said that 1 in a million cultivators possess spiritual bodies, and it seems that Xianxia is certainly destined to become a foundation-building great cultivator. Not only that, perhaps in the future, he could even become a nascent soul immortal. It wasn't possible for them to hit it off immediately and become deeply engrossed in conversation. That night, in a small courtyard. Have you got it? Lu Changxing looked at his son Lu Pingan and asked. He was teaching Lu Pingan the 5-element star destruction sword cannon. Because Lu Pingan had not yet started cultivating, he couldn't view the jade slip with his mental spirit. So his father had to teach him bit by bit, explaining the sword cannon's cultivation methods, brain meditation, technique circulation and so on little by little. Until he completely understood it and committed the technique firmly to memory. Dad, I remember it. Lu Pingan nodded vigorously. As a grandmaster of martial arts, his memory was extraordinary. Although the technique was mystically profound, with Lu Changxing's detailed explanation he was able to memorize it all. Good, with that being the case, start cultivating and try to draw the qi into your body. Lu Changxing nodded to this, encouraging Lu Pingan to begin cultivating. Yes, Dad. Hearing this, Lu Pingan immediately closed his eyes, sat cross-legged according to his father's instructions, and began cultivating. Time passed by slowly. No one knew how long had passed. Forget it, you keep cultivating and once you can enter the state, tell me. Seeing that his son hadn't been able to enter the proper state, Lu Changxing shook his head slightly. The 5-element star destruction sword cannon, as a peripheral sect-level technique, naturally wasn't easy to comprehend. The first step of cultivation, drawing qi into the body, required harmonious body and mind, clear and empty mental spirit, and a stance towards heaven with the contemplation of the 5 elemental stars, which carried certain difficulties. It wasn't like the returning origin technique, a basic cultivation technique, where one simply needed to silently sense the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to proceed. However, Lu Changxing was roughly certain that his son's comprehension abilities were quite ordinary. After seeing his son open up a 5th-grade spiritual root under the Hope Gus influence, Head harbored a small expectation that his son would surprise him in other areas. It seemed he had hoped for too much. Dad, am I really bad at this? Lu Pingan opened his eyes and scratched his head rather sheepishly. This is normal, usually it takes about 10 days to half a month to get a knack for it. Lu Changxing did not discourage his son, instead offering reassuring words. Okay. Lu Pingan nodded upon hearing this, determined to work hard in the coming days, to master the technique, and to not disappoint his father. Alright, if you have any issues or questions, come find me at any time. Lu Changxing patted his shoulder and said. As he looked at the moonlight streaming through the haze of the night, he exhaled softly, walked out of the small courtyard and went over to Lu Miaohuan's.